Hey, everybody. Uh, hey, this is a last minute live stream. Welcome, Ryan, Whiskey Status 74. Thank you for helping out here, my friend. So, I'm going to make sure our audio is good because I have my speakers off because I'll be talking to Ryan. Marcus will be catching your questions while I make adjustments and settings with you guys. Now, I know this TV looks kind of weird. It's on its side because I wanted to maximize the space on a 16:9. So what I did was I put my camera vertically. On top is the Sony A90J. On the bottom is the Samsung S95B. I'm going to turn it on shortly so you guys will get to see it for the first time with me. I haven't set it up, so I will set it up right after I talk, or as I talk to you guys, right? I'm going to turn it on. So the top is running the screws and muscles. The Sony, I'll show you guys what settings I have on the Sony. And any question you guys have, just throw it out there and we'll compare it with the Sony. I have the screws and muscle on. I can also run Netflix through the Panasonic. However, the Panasonic runs a 1080p Netflix. So if you guys give me a few minutes, I could actually run a higher resolution Netflix, maybe with that stick I just
Yeah. Well, and FOMO's audio is going to be a little off because he's not using a mic. I'm talking to him through the phone. So,
right. Yeah, hey, and can you guys hear me? You sound very tuned, like you're talking far away. You know what? Could be me. 1 second. Let me check my audio. Sorry about that. Is this better? Checking. Is this better? Is this better?
you still sound a little low.
It still sounds a little low.
Yeah.
All right. Turn it up. 1 second. Is this better? Checking. Better. I'm sorry, guys. Let me see. Let me turn up my audio control here. All right. Check. Mic.
Yeah, that's better.
Better? Okay. 1 second here. Checking.
So if I have you through the phone, through the stream, through the video.
I know, right? It's crazy. Okay. Hardware input. One. Here we go. Found it. Here we go. Analog 1. Gonna make sure I turn this up. Is it still low?
It's not as loud as normal, but it's
That's really weird. Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's a little tinny. Let me put both headphones in. That might help. All right, try again.
Okay. I'm trying to run through.
No, that's fine.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Craziness. Here we go. Okay. All right. So I sound better. It's good. All right. Okay. So real quick, I have the T. Okay. So the TVs are stacked, but I have my camera on vertical. Unfortunately, live stream doesn't allow me to make it vertical, so it's on its side. But I did it this way so I can maximize the resolution for you guys. If you guys prefer it to be back, it'll be a lot smaller. So I assume guys are gonna like this, right?
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna compare the Sony A90J with the Samsung S95B below. We're gonna go over the settings of the Sony A95J really quick. Maybe I can do it from here. And then you guys will see what it's on. This is in its most accurate mode. Picture settings. All right, so custom, that's calibrated by none other than, I think D-Nice did this one, right?
Yeah.
So let's go to the brightness here. Oops.
Let's say before we start, can we give FOMO a round of applause for being the first person with, forget about QD-OLED, an actual Samsung OLED.
I mean, this is the Samsung QD-OLED, guys.
I mean, just an OLED from Samsung in general is a big deal.
It is. And this is, and so where did this come from? I bought it from Samsung. They had early shipping to California, so I got lucky. A lot of people bought it at the same time I did, but they're getting it shipped next week. I am so lucky I got it in today because I'm going to New York City next week. So Yeah, so it's on, brightness is on max, contrast is 90. It's a dark room, so gamma. It's on gradation preferred, and I have peak luminance on high. I do not have the advanced contrast enhancer on. This is an HDR signal, Spears and Munsell off the Panasonic UB. And okay, now let's turn on the Samsung. So just so you guys know, I have not turned on the Samsung beyond plugging it in. So that's the screensaver on. I have not set it up at all. So let's do it right now. My goal is to get everything set up, and then I already have it connected through a splitter. As soon as everything is set up in its most accurate mode, it's not going to be calibrated. So it's just literally out of the box. Let's see how good it looks. And then, yeah, let's see this.
Well, what I love is your patience to be able to actually wait for this instead of actually, turning it on yourself.
Here we go. Let's try.
Nice. We got a
The
one
crazy
nine.
thing with the splitter is when you turn off the splitter, there you go. Okay, it's back on. Okay, look at that. OLED. It says OLED. It doesn't even
That doesn't even say Samsung OLED.
it doesn't even say QD OLED. It just says OLED. Right? Like,
Oh,
what?
man, generic.
All right,
Come on.
so let me set this up real quick.
All right.
1 second.
So while we were on here before, we were talking about the build quality, and FOMO had said that it basically, basically felt the same as a regular OLED. So what I'll be doing, I came in here last minute, is I'll be reading a lot of these comments to FOMO through the phone as he's off camera. Yes, the TV, Brandon, is sideways, simply because he's comparing to the Sony A90J. What's up, Corey? What's up, Brandon? What's up, Sterling?
I'm not going to get interest-based advertisements.
What's up, Andy Kills You? Hold on, let me get on the phone. All right, you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
All right. You gotta go through all the Samsung sign your life away.
Yeah, look, updates. What did we say we shouldn't update? I figured the first update we should do.
Yeah. Well, if it breaks it, we'll see it here first.
All right, here we go. Downloading. All right, I can go back and answer questions while it's downloading its first firmware update.
Yeah, I'd say tell me a little bit about the build quality from.
Okay, so this is super thin, like super thin. It is legit thin. The problem is there is a power section at the bottom, right? So that it's like the LG C1 or C2 or C10. The actual panel is super thin, but then you have the thicker, power PSU on the bottom. So it's kind of unrealistic. I don't understand when people say the OLED is so thin, but then you have this thick thing. So even if you put it against the wall, it's going to stick out at least an inch and a half. Yeah. I mean, it's not thin, right? So ultimately, even though the Sony with the heatsink is thicker overall, up and down, the Samsung is the same thickness on the bottom. So it ends up being the same.
Interesting.
Yes, we have the QD OLED. Thank you, Shango, for the support. It is awesome so far. What we're doing is we're downloading the firmware update. I know I have it on the vertical 16 by 9, but what we're going to do, I think you guys can still see the differences. So this is going to be really fun. And yeah, I'll run the grayscale, the gray test, 5%, 20%. Let's see if there's any DSC. And just so you guys know, I did buy this direct from Samsung.com. No other retailer is allowed to sell it yet. I mean, I don't know what's up with that. On Best Buy, I don't think you can buy it yet. It's still in a pre-order phase. So you could actually pay for it on Samsung.com. Even Robert, Electronics, I'm sorry, I can't get it to you. Wow. So the minute this was available, a couple of our viewers said, hey, I just ordered it. I said, you know what? I'm going to have to order it too. And it arrived literally 5 hours ago. I spent the last 5 hours setting everything up, hanging it. And yeah, so we'll check the DSC for sure. The funny part is if you guys missed it, when we turned it on, it says OLED. No QD OLED, just OLED. And it says OLED by Knox. I'm like, what does that even mean? OLED by Knox, right? Oh, what is that? Is it done? Nope, still downloading. So yeah, it's downloading the firmware update. So as it updates, we'll set it up. My goal is to compare things like the Spears and Munsell I don't think I could actually do Netflix. I just thought about it only because I don't want YouTube to jump in and just cancel the entire stream, right? Because if they recognize,
Yeah.
I forgot, right? If they see a live stream of copyright content, they go crazy. So we'll do Spears and Muscle. I know Stacy Spears personally. He's okay with us doing this. So
Yeah. He's
and
cool.
and just so you guys know, he's going to release his updated Spears and Muscles benchmark disc this summer. So this is going to be fun. Am I the first? I hope so. This is it's
It
not
is.
just me, you guys. We are the first to see this together. I thought it'd be really cool for all of you to share this with me, right? So it's just not just me. You guys are seeing this with me. You're seeing the firmware update, and let's see it keeps on going. Right now, I have to say, I would never do this. I hate ragging on Vizio, but I would never do this with a Vizio because
Like showtime.
I
Like, please don't
I,
blow
I
up.
don't I don't want to pile on. It's like you don't know what's gonna happen with Samsung. I don't think it's gonna blow. With Vizio, like,
Oh
oh
man,
man,
that's funny.
I can't do that to Vizio just in case, right? So,
You're like, hang in
but
there,
yeah,
everybody.
with a Sony or a Vizio, I mean, with Sony or a Samsung, I will do this. And oh yeah, hey, get the likes up so that other people could jump on and check out the S95B first impressions together with you guys. I have the Sony A90J on top. That black space is actually the Sony A90J. It's just waiting for me to get the firmware update on the Samsung, and then we will split the Spears and Munsell between the two HDR, and let's see what happens. Yeah, thanks for your support, guys. I know, isn't that terrible? I called Robert, and Robert's like, "I'm sorry, FOMO. I don't have the T. I can't
Yeah,
even
I just
order
text
it."
him to see if he'll jump on. He'll be like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, he should jump on.
I just text him. Yeah,
Hey, thanks for the support, Jay Steph. I am also in suspense. Let me see what the progress is on this firmware
got so
update.
many of you guys were in my live stream last night, 5 hour
Oh,
marathon. So
83%. All right, we're almost there.
thanks for jumping on, guys.
Will the QD OLED have banding issues that plagued many C1s? I hope not. And so, just so you guys know, the production yields on this first generation, both for the Sony and for the Samsung, is really small. We're talking maybe less than 200,000 globally. I don't know how much less, but it's not a lot. There is no way we're going to get a million units out there between the 55 and the 65 inch. I'm hoping that because the yields are small, Samsung was particularly how would you say it? They binned it very well for Sony and for Samsung. This is a Samsung model. I'm hoping they hand selected only the best, but ultimately we're just testing it out as guinea pigs. So let's see what happens before you guys. And why is it in portrait mode? Good question. It's the best way to get both TVs to fit and also to get the most resolution for you guys. If I have the TVs this way, then it'll be tiny, right? Because now you have a 16 by 9 and then the
Yeah,
TVs are like this, right? This way, I don't have the option on StreamYard to take that and flip it back for you guys, unfortunately. So that's why. But yeah, that's a good question. And it's just to make sure you guys have max resolution.
yeah. Well, maybe on its own, FOMO at the end if you want to
Oh, look.
turn the
Okay. I'm
camera
going
and
to
just
walk
shoot
over there,
one.
finish up the setup.
Yeah, maybe just shoot one. How you guys doing tonight? Thank you for jumping on. I'll keep FOMO on the phone.
Is there a stick? Oh,
Is there? All
I see.
right.
There
Let's
you
see. All right, guys. So FOMO is not here to read the super chats, but we'll do them. I can't put them up on the screen. Droid, thank you for the super sticker. I'll have FOMO put that up. Jonathan, super sticker. He can't see the screen, and I don't have the ability to put them on screen. But he'll come back to those. How you guys doing? You guys excited? I'm excited to see this for the first time.
Oh, and if you guys look, the room is my splitter. That's what I said. It's an 8K splitter from HD.
Okay. Varoom. This video is brought to you by Varoom. Throw it out there.
It's brought to you by HD.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, you guys, and I know it looks odd because you're only seeing the one TV, but as soon as both TVs are on, you'll get used to it. Yeah, so many of you guys were in the live stream last night where I went 5 hours.
But I know. Okay,
I
so
did 5 hours.
let me just do this again.
Let's see. Brett Reed, how far away do you guys think we are from 77-inch and above QD OLEDs? Could wait a year, but any longer, I'd rather jump on the G2. In my opinion, you're not going to see them for three to 4 years. What do you think, FOMO? You think we'll see QD OLEDs at 77 and 83? Not next year.
Oh no, not next year.
Yeah, I mean, you might see 77, and then Brett, you might see 77, and then 83 will be after, but it's going to be a while, I think.
Oh my god, this is all good. I have no clue.
Yeah, how many Samsungs have you used? You're like, wait a second, I gotta cut it.
What? Okay, let me find the input. I'm sorry, guys. This is not a. I am not used to this at all.
Yeah.
This is sound picture setup.
All right, so are you looking at a completely new operating system, FOMO,
Yes,
or is it
all new,
open?
dude. I am so. I can't even find the input. Oh, good heavens.
This Brian Shaw is being compared to a Sony A90J Master Series. So we're not playing around. The Samsung's going against the top TV last year, and arguably the top TV this year so far.
So,
Kenji,
oh,
okay,
here,
Ken.
I found it. This is it. External device. Here we go. Oh, thank God. I thought I'd be stuck there. Okay, so as you can see, the Samsung's a little bit brighter already. But that's just a menu, right?
Yep.
You guys notice the brightness difference?
Well, considering it's not an LED, that might stay. The reason you guys are seeing, for those of you that are just in the chat, the reason you're seeing the orientation the way it is be able to fit in both panels. If he turns them the other way, they'll shrink to like stamps. You won't ever see them. Oh, there we go.
Okay, so what we're going to do is, so let me tell you, this is how I normally challenge it, right? So let me set this up for you guys in a second.
Yeah, Corey, it's already looking vibrant.
We are going to go.
And the menu right there already. I can already see it in the menu.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start below HDR, SDR butterfly, right?
Yep.
Yeah, let's give it a softball here.
What's the preset on the Samsung?
Exactly. So it's time to play with the preset on the second. Oh my god. Oh, there it is.
Oh, dude, is it still that same little remote that they give you something else?
It is the same little remote. I have to look for the menu.
The gear? Yeah, you got to go into like home and then gear. That's the worst. It was funny in the UK they actually have a larger remote that comes with it, which I don't understand why we don't get that.
Yeah.
So are we looking for what? It's not natural.
I'm looking for the. Normally when I hit home, the menu pops up, and then I can change the settings on the fly. But I am just so out of my element with this.
That's all right, man. It's all about the setup, baby. Don't worry. That's why you're on stage right now. You had it. You had it.
I had it.
Now you have the channels. Do you have to do any of the enabling deep color or any of the inputs for HDR? Do you have to do any of that? The QD OLED is on the left side. The Sony
OLED, yes. Yeah. This is standard. Okay, let's just do movie mode. I am not comfortable with filmmaker mode. I've never liked it. Right.
Yeah, Max. You definitely need a quick set. Wow, look at the difference. Well, I'll tell you right off the bat, no matter what preset we're in, that light blue and that striking blue.
Okay, so let's challenge it. We're going to go to 10,000 and see how they tone map it.
How about the color temperature before we maybe that? Because I know sometimes a different color temperature will make it look brighter than it is.
Okay. Oh, the color temperature?
Yeah. So sometimes you'll have a different color temperature that makes the TV look brighter than it is.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. There we
Yeah.
go. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
right
the
here.
OLEDs are going to push blue on camera, guys, always.
Yeah.
And yes, the A90J is fully calibrated, Casey.
And the S95B is out of the box, not calibrated. So
Yep.
I see more green in the Samsung. Let me clean the microphone so you guys can hear me. I'm going to point it towards the TV. 1 second. Okay. Okay, can you hear me better?
Yeah, we still got you.
This is a little bit better? All right.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, all right. So,
Well, yeah, Lonnie, FOMO wasn't excited. He's actually doing this live, so he actually has not. This is straight up out of the box setup. He set it up already, but he's not seen it yet. But he's powering it on first for us, so that's pretty amazing.
okay, so we'll start with, I'm going to do 1000 nit. At 1000 nits, they look very similar. As we get to a close up of that color, the orange color on the bottom,
Definitely see the clouds were noticeably whiter on the Samsung from what we can see here.
I have to say, out of the box, this looks pretty good. And it's not, oh, okay, let's just pause right here.
Yep.
Okay, the sun, first of all, the S95B does not have a heatsink. The Sony has a heatsink, and
Yep.
we are on 1000 peak luminance on this Prism muzzle. You see that? I selected 1000. Both are in the most accurate movie mode. And right now, I have to say, oops, there we go. Okay. The sun on the Samsung is brighter. Can you see that on your side, Brian?
Yeah, yeah, and also the depth in the clouds just above the yellow sun. That white is
and there's
definitely
more orange. Okay.
Yeah.
Already, the Samsung has won the gamut, the lighter color gamut battle right there. Now, maybe it's off, but I don't think so. So let me rewind that one more time for you guys. There's a lot more orange down there. See, this one you can't tell, right? Because everything's going to wash up. But right here, where you have the deep, so I was going to show you guys real quick.
All right, real quick. Classy
And this is why I have to wear gloves. No fingerprints.
Well, Classy just sent a super chat. Classy,
Right here,
thank you for the
guys.
super chat. Hey guys, chat QD OLED.
Slightly washed out, right there. The other stuff looks pretty fine, but right there, the white color gamut, I can see it for sure. And this is an S95B. This is not the Sony A95K. I wonder if the A95K can get any brighter. So in this same scene, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the brightness even higher, right? So let's do that.
You feel like you're losing any depth there, though, FOMO, or no?
I'm sorry?
You feel like you're losing any depth?
No. Ooh, this is tone mapping. So that was too bright. You have to tone map that down. So when it's too bright, we couldn't do it. So let's put it back. Yeah, you can't. Let's go down to 2000. Right here, the Samsung does feel brighter. So we're at 2000 nits, peak specular highlights. The shadow detail, yeah, definitely there is more orange. It's true. So
what are you seeing in the blacks?
The shadow detail, the black looks identical right here. Okay. And those that were complaining maybe has lifted blacks. In this scene, I don't see any lifted blacks.
Okay.
This is also a good place to check for lifted blacks. I don't see it here either. Again, where the sun is peeking out of the clouds, you can see that there's a little bit more color gradation in
Yep.
Samsung where that sun's peeking out. So I don't know if you can see that
Yep.
on the YouTube. I can see it here.
What I'll say too is when you come out of the brightness, that little lip of the cloud that you see on the A90, it's still present on the Samsung.
Yeah.
So that's pretty insane. That you're not you have brighter, but you're not losing the detail.
So let's take this. Oh, this one they pull pretty good. One doesn't stand out any more than the other. And oh, here we go. This is a great one. Actually, this one looks pretty good too.
Look how much farther the sun comes out into the water,
Oh, I know.
or just it lights up the water. Wow. But I would argue that maybe it's because the Sony's darker. It just looks like it's got a little bit more depth. It looks like a really nice LED versus an OLED
Okay,
in some
right.
of these.
Okay, so right here, I was going to show you guys this. This is brighter. Perceptually, right here, for me, this is very much brighter. Samsung, and again, it could be. It's not calibrated, so the EOTF could be off because I know that once it's calibrated, maybe it isn't this bright. But out of the box, the color definitely like right there in the very middle, it's brighter than the Sony. Doesn't mean it's accurate, but out of the box it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Sammy Prescott come by to calibrate this, the G2 and the A95K, sometime in May. So we can. Oh, interesting. So here we go. The Sony actually has more red in here. You notice that?
Yeah. In the mountain.
And this could be a calibration thing. So for some reason, it's the S95B a touch washed out compared to the Sony in this scene.
Yeah, I think you are losing some depth. Maybe not detail, but depth.
What is it with that?
So this is FOMO. This scene here is where we saw the different color on Samsung QDs in the past. Are you seeing that same color here?
Yeah, it's spot on. Yeah, this
More
one's
teal.
no more teal. It's funny because on what was it, KG, he did his comparison with the Q90A. I saw the teal.
Oh, look at this. Look how much
Yeah,
brighter
it's
the
brighter.
wow.
Yeah, the Samsung's a touch brighter on this one.
No, that's a lot brighter. At least
And
here.
remember, the Sony has the heatsink, the Samsung does not. So I
Yeah.
have to say, without a heatsink, this is pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, considering
One thing,
also the Sony doesn't really push brighter unless it's again in certain presets. I mean, it's wow.
I have Sony on, if anyone's asking, Sony's on gradation preferred, so let me split so you guys can see the Sony settings, because a lot of people might want to know what I have the Sony set on.
Yeah.
The Sony is set on its most accurate uh, movie mode. So max bright, contrast, gamma, gradation preferred. I could go to brightness preferred, but then you lose color volume, so we don't want to do that. Black over 50, right? Off, keeping this high, and everything else is default. I haven't changed any of that. So, all right. Yeah, this is brighter. The Samsung is brighter here. If you guys notice, the Samsung is a little bit brighter in the center of that feather.
We got John Reformato in the chat. John, how is it going, my friend? He's saying the white point is different on these sets. Classy did send his super chat. Oh, did I lose you? Yeah.
Okay, I have to say I am so impressed that without a heatsink, the Samsung is consistently brighter than the Sony. Like right here, oh, right here, the Sony looks dim. Right here, can you see that on the stream?
Yeah, but do you feel like you're losing depth in the middle of the flower or no? You're losing
Yes,
that?
a little bit. So let's, am I? Let me get up close and see here.
Like if you look at in the middle of the flower, we can actually hear you on the actual speaker, I think.
No, I'm not. All the color is there. It's just brighter.
Okay, so you're
Not
still
really-
seeing all the lines within the flower, all that detail.
Yeah.
So okay, so the camera's just blowing it out then a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna reduce just a little bit. I'm adjusting it to the Samsung now so it doesn't blow out. Is that better?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh,
Okay,
now it
so
really
now,
looks time. Okay.
right? So this is what we're talking about. I'm adjusting it to the Samsung's exposure now.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's a big difference right there.
Yeah, right? Yeah, this one looks fine. It all looks the same.
All right. So we're
Oh,
looking at. Can you pause that one?
yes.
Only because I know people are interested in the Samsung Reds. Hearing a lot of talk about the Reds.
Oh, you know where you're gonna see the reds? That tulip, that red tulip.
Yep.
Let's go there.
I want to see the
This one,
owl's eye too. If
okay.
we have more detail on the owl's
The
eye.
color depth on the Samsung, it has that little bright spot, has the same amount of yellow as the Sony from where I'm standing. I'm about 9 feet away. This looks good. Both of them looks good. Nothing stands out like, oh, it looks different. Yep, this one looks pretty identical.
Yeah,
So there's
actually,
some
it's.
scenes
If you
they
look at the
both do.
background in that last one, you can
Oh,
see the difference. That looks pretty close.
they both look pretty good on this one. I'm not going to say
It
that the
just seems
Samsung
like
is better.
above, like foam. You can see in front of the butterfly though. You can see the background. You can't really see it on the Sony.
Oh,
Like
wait, right here. Okay,
yeah,
the
right in
Sony
front
is
of the
washed
butterfly.
out. Okay, so right here, I have to show you guys this. This is so obvious to me. I don't know if you guys can see this. So the Sony up here is a little bit washed out. This one has more color going right here. These two spots is where I see the difference. But I don't know if you can see it on your end. So I think that's kind of interesting.
What preset are we in again, Foma? What was this? Natural? Is this cinema? What do we got?
Oh, movie mode. Just
Movie mode on the
movie
QD.
mode.
Okay.
Regular movie mode. Nothing. Ooh, yeah. So definitely the Samsung yellow tulip is brighter. Can you guys see that on the stream?
Yeah. Tailor made. What I said hurt my eyes was the G2, not a QD OLED. So that was the G2 at
Now,
77 inches.
overall, they're very similar. So the scene is very similar, except the yellow tulip on the Samsung is a touch brighter, but the rest of the red tulips are the same. I don't see any. Oh, and the leaves are brighter. The green leaves below the red tulips, right there, it's brighter on the Samsung than on the Sony.
Are you seeing more color in any of these?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
more green. The green is more vibrant and brighter on the Samsung.
But
And again,
it's just not that saturated Samsung color green. You're seeing actual different shades.
more like brighter. Oh,
Brighter. Okay.
but not like, wow, it's so bright. Because they're side by side, I'm able to see the difference.
Oh, these
And
should be
this one,
good.
they look pretty good.
Specular.
Yeah, this one, they look the same to me. So,
It's like brilliant having them in slow mo. Yeah, still a touch brighter though.
oh yeah, right here it is a touch brighter. Right here. Oh, right there. So the
Yep.
Sony is clipping in this scene. I'm losing some color, whereas the Samsung is preserving a lot more color.
Well, and the
Using a
Samsung looks
lot of color
and the
detail
Samsung
on
looked
this.
three-dimensional in that image.
Yeah, yeah, it was more here. Let's go through that one again because that one is actually pretty obvious. Okay, so right here they both look very similar, and then as it gets brighter and brighter, you're gonna lose color on the Sony. Or the Sony tries to get bright, but now I'm losing color detail, or rather detail. It's clipping, but the Samsung is preserving a lot of this detail, whereas the Sony's clipping right now. I'll just pause it right here.
Well, and the
Okay.
Samsung definitely looks like it's standing apart from the screen. It's got more like it seems like it's almost further along in the shot.
Yeah. So right here, the
That's
Sony is
impressive.
losing that little metal
Yep.
metallic
Yep, we can
detail.
see it here.
Samsung's preserving it.
Well, I would say if you were talking about creating FOMO, according to this chat, yeah, so far.
Oh, I am very happy with the Samsung guys. Now again, this is not calibrated. It's out of the
Yeah, but
box. Once we get it down to so this one is good. And yep, the Samsung's brighter. So all of the buildings, the little lights and everything, the Samsung definitely pops more. Can you tell? I don't know if you can tell me.
Yeah, actually can see it here. In the middle of the city, it looks like the lights are almost off on the A90, just above
It's
that
not
main
bad.
building.
Yeah. The red on top of that building, you know, the red helipad, the
Yeah.
brightest helipad, that is bright. Oh my gosh. This right here, super bright compared to the sun.
You
Like
know what it looks
super
like?
bright.
It actually looks like what we wanted LEDs to be,
Oh man, the
doesn't
specular
it?
highlight on this. Okay, I'm going to use this for my review. That specular highlight on that red, on that building, the little red
Yep.
helipad. Wow. I mean, wow. That's it.
Wow.
And even the red. Okay, so there's. I got pause it here too. The Sony is washed out above where they have the A on logo right here. Not as much red. This one, deeply red, and you can see the individual yellow colors. Here, it's washed out. You don't see any
Wow.
yellow at all. So this is hitting the color volume limit of the Sony. The Samsung has not. You still see the yellow. The Sony is
And
not
and
yellow;
it's
it's white.
sparkling. You still have the
Yes,
specular highlights.
yes.
Yeah, guys in the chat,
Okay.
this is the Samsungs. We do not have Dolby Vision. We do not have a heatsink.
Yeah, this is HDR, right? So let me show you guys what we're the source material because I'm like, wow, let's see, watching this. People who just joined us, we are looking at. Oops, there it is. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is 2,000 nit content off this Piers and Munsell, and yeah, at 2,000 nits, the Sony could not keep up. Now to compare, if you take it down to 1,000 nits,
Well, we got 459 in the chat. Guys, please hit like on the video, please.
oops.
Oh, I just lost you. I can still hear you, so I think we're good.
Oh, sorry guys. Let me fast forward to that real quick.
Yeah, guys, hit like for FOMO, just because, I mean, he's the man, but having this TV first, it's not even just a QD OLED. Just having a Samsung OLED, I think we're skipping over the fact that it's a Samsung OLED, which is pretty incredible. I got you.
Okay, so Robert needs to bring the S95B to the shootout.
All right. I'll tell him.
There's-
We can hear you. I can hear you on the microphone. You guys can hear FOMO, right?
I can't hear you. So that's
Oh,
why.
you can't hear me. Oh, gotcha.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I have you on the phone. Sorry.
Oh, I see.
All
Oh,
right.
I
There we
see.
go. Okay. All right. Okay, let's take this back up to 2,000 nits. There we go. Yeah, at the 2,000 nit content for the Spears and Munsell, definitely the Samsung looks bright. Here, they look about the same. Oh, just so you guys know, the star and the moon in this is supposed to be super bright. I can't tell that it's brighter here though on the Samsung. Maybe the Sony A95K can make it even brighter. But here they both look identical. I can't say one is brighter than the other.
Are you seeing any ABL kicking in?
No, on neither TV. Yeah, the Samsung is brighter here for sure. So that needle, that sky needle, the white of the sky needle tower is definitely brighter while preserving detail. It's not clipping, right? It's just brighter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the color is more vibrant here. So there's some rainbow effects happening here on the S95B. Everywhere that you see color, so just put it out here and here, right?
Yeah.
On the
Oh, yeah.
S95B, it's brighter. Right there, it's fine, but here it's like, whoa, where did that come from? So that's pretty cool. Anything that's fluorescent like that, the S95B, just wow.
I think he was going to have the QD OLED in the shootout anyway. Is that considered their flagship, right? The one.
Yeah, this is their 4K. I don't see how their other. Oh, Wow, this is super bright. The
Jesus.
center of that Ferris wheel is definitely brighter on the Samsung without losing detail. The fluorescent words wings or longs is brighter. All the fluorescent light on the Samsung is brighter than the Sony. If you look at the shadow detail below that, the pure, it
Yeah.
has the same level of shadow detail. There's no black crushing at all.
Well, if you look
So
at the
this is
reflections too, the
interesting.
reflections in the water look amazing.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, no, the reflect, especially that yellow reflection beneath the Ferris wheel,
Yeah.
it pops on the Samsung more. So I have
Yeah.
to say, okay, so everyone needs to know they're both $3,000. The Samsung should get even cheaper by Black Friday, but
Yeah.
remember there are not enough of these to go around. So this is not to say you should get it, by the way. I'm just running demo material. If I put it on a movie, maybe it looks like crap, right? Or maybe the motion's terrible. We'll have some motion testing shortly. I'll let you guys know what I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll definitely do some motion. We'll have fun with that. Yeah,
But
this is
Samsung
this.
tends to be pretty good with that stuff. Their
Yeah, see
process.
scenes like this, they're identical, right? So if you guys are looking at the motion's pretty good in this. The motion normally the right here. Wow, Samsung nailed it.
Can you put the
Normally this
motion
is where you have a
test
lot of
up?
stutter. Huh?
You want to put the motion test up or no? The ticker?
No, I have it on default.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
I don't even know what my motion is. Let me pause. Let me check the motion real quick for you guys.
Classy. The Samsung is in cinema, I believe. Lonnie, Lonnie wants to know if the Samsung is blooming at all, FOMO.
Oh no blooming at all. Right?
No,
That's
I mean OLEDs. They're OLEDs, guys. I mean, there isn't any. It's impossible for it to bloom. But no,
interesting.
no blooming.
I huh. I don't have access to the motion from this menu.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, just for ha-has, you want to run the motion test off the disk and just see what it does?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Let's see. This is very, yeah.
I hate their settings, man. I hate having to go into you have to go into the input, then the gear, right? You can't just go into
Well,
and
I am. This is. I apologize. I know there is a setting for motion, but I cannot get to it right now because I'm not figuring out what you guys. Okay, yeah. Let's just go to the motion. To the motion one. Just have fun with that and do that.
yeah, yeah. Just see what it does.
Yeah. That stock ticker.
Tim Cannell, S95B versus the G2. Well, I would say if the S95B is smoking the A90J, it's going to do the same thing to the
The
G2.
two are identical.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
as if Samsung just stole Sony's motion processor. I cannot get over this.
There you go.
Let's go to the next one here.
Brad, thank you for the super chat. Want to know how football looks on it.
Oh
Unfortunately.
wow! To say the red chili on the Samsung is definitely brighter. Can you see that?
Oh my
It's
God.
super bright. I mean, come on, it's a chili, right? But it's still.
Yeah, but that's
And
uncanny that the motion is the same.
Samsung has less, no, the same artifacts on the Samsung. And both look good here.
Brad, thank you for the super chat. We'll definitely check sports. We can't show you any sports due to copyright, but we will follow up. Samsung is typically very good for sports. At least their LEDs are. What's screen uniformity like, FOMO? Just any of the panning shots. You see anything on it? Any banding or anything?
Yep, there's the right now, full field white. Let's see if there's any banding. This is a pretty clean panel, and I don't see a pink tint.
And it's white as can be. Wow. Look at the
It's
difference there,
it's
guys.
actually whiter than the screen. From the
Well,
side,
yeah, the Sony's not even white.
so from
It's
this
gray.
angle, I see pink. I see a pink tint on the Sony. There is no tinting at all on the Samsung. The color is just it's uniform. There is no color shifting on the Sony. As I go off angle, there's a slight pink on the edge of the TV. So that pink tint is real. The uniformity is perfect on this TV. I see no vertical band at all.
Andy
Well,
Kills
at
you.
$100, at 100.
Thank you for the super chat. Can you make the
Yeah.
TV window full screen? Also run some tests with the lights on. To see for lifted blacks. It's a lot to ask Andy while he's doing this for the very first time. We'll see how the stream goes
Yeah.
if he's able to
But
do it.
we'll get there.
Right now, we're just, but thank you for the super chat, Andy. We'll swing back. I'm sure we'll be able to turn it on the side at some point. You just lose the entire size of the.
Okay, so let's see. The Samsung is way brighter. It's holding its brightness longer than the Sony right here. Yeah, it's still brighter than the Sony, still brighter.
Wow.
This is normally when the OLED starts to fall out, even with the heatsink. The Samsung is still okay. They're getting close now. Okay, they're at full field. They're very similar now at this point. So as the windows get smaller, the Samsung is brighter.
Wow.
So let's see.
Completely different
But
shade.
definitely, now that the Samsung's next to the Sony, I see the pink tint. It wasn't as obvious, but it's obvious.
You've seen the Evo. You've seen the Evo. Like, damn, I'm calling them. I'm returning this one.
Dude, if it wasn't for the A95K, I would make this Samsung my reference TV. I would call Sammy in and I'd have him calibrated like ASAP. Oh, wow, super bright now.
Yeah, YJ, you just said these are going to shine at the stores. Samsung's strength is definitely their kiosk.
Oh,
These are
wait,
going to be
I have
amazing.
to let you guys know, I do see chromatic aberration right here. Okay, so this is the pentile pixel. I was talking to Classy, I don't know if he's there, but so the edge where the black and the white meet, right? This is where that pentile subpixel. Here, I see it from where I am. This is completely clean. There is no chromatic aberration because Sony uses a traditional vertical subpixel. I can see it. So in scenes like this, obviously it's a test pattern. I didn't think I noticed it, but I do notice it. I'm about 10 feet away, so from 10 feet away, in this scene, I do see a touch. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but because the Sony's there, I go, wait, the Sony doesn't have it. At this size, it's harder to see, but as it gets larger, okay, I see that chromatic aberration.
But no thought of that during actual content.
Right. When we saw the content, I didn't notice it at all. Right. But
Video Chris, thank you so much for the super chat. Will Samsung provide a burn-in warranty just like Dell does with its Alienware? I would say no. I would guarantee you it's not going to do that. And there is not a heatsink, Video Chris. Phone, what do you think about extended warranty? I don't see Samsung doing anything like that.
Yeah, get it at Best Buy, and then you have
Get
the
the Geek Squad.
2-year Geek Squad.
Yeah, through the Geek Squad. But as far as them doing it, I can't see them, especially considering that they've made fun of OLEDs for years with burn-in. I highly doubt they're going to be like, yeah, we'll cover that.
Yeah, very similar. 10-bit. The two are very similar.
So quickly, FOMO, 48 minutes in. Quick impressions just from the cuff. What are you feeling?
Okay, both these TVs are the same price. I would change my Sony A90J for the S95B right now.
No hesitation.
No hesitation. Only because what I saw, based on the content, right? If I'm only running Spears and Munsell, the Samsung clearly the better TV on Spears and Munsell.
Well, the thing with Spears and Munsell, though, you're taking the very best content. So you almost can't blame the strengths or weaknesses on the content. The content neutralizes it. It's so good. So it's not like you're looking at an LED versus an OLED. This content is showing you what each one can do. So yeah, okay, that's high praise considering that's the A90J Master Series, everybody.
And what we can do is, I'll see if I can.
Andy Kills You. Thank you for the super chat. You cannot do that with StreamYard. You can't just change the windows. The windows are what they are. So I'd love to tell you we could. What we would do is we'd make ourselves very small and make the TVs full screen, but you can't do that as a guest. It's got to be. You would have to have the TV as the host, and it gets StreamYard's great. It's not that flexible, FOMO with the cameras.
Yeah, 5% screen. They both look pretty good.
Corey, yeah,
So,
A90J. Owners are going to be mad. We're going to have to follow up this with the tech therapy video, my friend.
I'm setting you up. I am
And
setting
yeah,
you up.
you're making content for me because I already have the tech therapy because of the G2. Now this A92
Okay,
is going to kill
I'm,
me.
I'm gonna get my eyes acclimated right now. I'm looking for vertical banding. Both
Okay.
TVs are clean. I'm happy with both TVs.
Okay.
Nothing like the G1 we saw at the shootout.
Yeah.
Excellent TVs, both of them, as far as uniformity.
Oh, Max Shibley said, "Yes, I'm cringing right now being an A90J owner."
But again,
Yeah.
very specific material. So us go through the demo real quick for you guys. I'm gonna go straight to those scenes where we saw the differences. Every other scene, I have to say, they're indistinguishable, right? And that's something that, well, that's just how it is. I don't have to say that. Right? So, okay,
Yeah, and for
2005.
yeah, for you guys, it's a transitional year. I mean, it's always a challenge, even what we have with mini LEDs coming. It's a transition. It's going to be a really tough year to not feel some FOMO or buyer's remorse. But I mean, it doesn't change how amazing the A90J is.
Like this scene, to me, indistinguishable. This scene, indistinguishable. So, scene by scene, I'll pause when I see a difference.
Well, I mean,
Both
in
look
those
good.
last couple of schemes, the skybox was definitely a little bit different color.
Yeah, and remember the Sony is fully calibrated. The Samsung is not.
Yeah,
Out of the box. This is
but that
normally
looks like
what I. Oh, darn it! Sorry,
that looks
I
like an
should have.
LED versus an OLED right there. The whites look like what I do with LEDs versus OLEDs. Now, buddy, love, enjoy it, my friend. If you have an 83-inch A90J, there's nothing to be worried about.
Oh, okay, right here. So normally there's some dimming on an OLED. If I keep it on this scene too long, so I'm going slow mo. I'm looking for lost detail, but the Samsung has it all as well. Sony does feel a little bit brighter in the scene, full field, to me.
Okay.
But the Samsung is not calibrated. But then the background detail is all there. There's no loss of shadow detail on either ones. Normally,
And
in the back where you have trees and stuff, you lose that on the LED. It's very hard for them to keep the trees while maintaining the brightness. So this one's pretty good.
now, guys, I know you can't compare white points on camera, but you have to remember he's saying what he's seeing in person. He's not looking through a camera.
Right, right.
So we're meant to just see,
And it's not calibrated too,
it's not
right? So the
calibrated.
white point, definitely the white point's going to be off. Just so you guys, the Sony's on its calibrated white point. The Samsung is whatever's out of the box. So I'm just giving you guys my first impression. And most people buying this, they're not going to calibrate it.
No,
Some of
no,
you
no.
will, but most people will not.
Max, Max says, right now I'm watching the stream on my A90J, and I seriously want to throw it out the window. Do not do that.
Do not do
Max,
that.
you're a
Right here.
content creator, my friend. You have to be a little more even
Okay,
keeled than
okay.
that.
So this is one. I have to call Sony out in this one. I see this one. Again, you guys won't see this unless you have both TVs. But here it's clipped. Here, the shadow detail is maintained, and the center is the same brightness. So the Sony is unable to maintain that brightness without clipping the edge detail right there.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. So, and this is, remember, the Sony is on gradient preferred, not brightness preferred. I'm surprised because gradient preferred is not supposed to do that. So the Samsung S95B, I, I'm impressed. I mean, whoever did the processing for the Samsung, what will Sony do with a heatsink? Is all I'm saying, guys. What will Sony do with a heatsink?
Yeah.
Like right here, it's the same. I don't see any differences. Yeah, same.
Well, the skybox is still a tad brighter or lighter, it looks like.
Yeah. I want to do skin tones. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put on Greatest Showman. I'm going to take it to the scenes that we all know and love. But if I just hold it on that scene, then it should be okay. The problem is always with motion. So what I'm going to do is let me, while you answer the super chat, let me run some footage from the off. I'll take it off, and then we'll just go scene by scene.
Yeah, if you want to go back to them, I can't really see them much from my side. You had a couple super stickers in the beginning. I know Classy put a super chat in there in the beginning too.
All right. Okay, so I'll let you run the chat while I change my CD real quick.
Battech said, a heatsink doesn't make a huge difference. You're not wrong. It's just when it allows the panel to be pushed harder. But to your point, you're not going to see that in every scene. It's not like a night and day difference that way. You're not like, oh my God, heatsink right there. So you're right, Battech. It's good to have it, but I'm very impressed with it. I'll tell you that. And I hate to say this again. I'm actually just very happy the screen uniformity, FOMO.
Oh yeah,
I'm just happy there for Samsung.
This is probably the best screen uniformity on any Samsung ever because it's not a LCD from China or Taiwan. I mean, LCDs have a problem. This is how it is. Okay.
I mean, yeah, and you guys have to, what you are going to be saying is again, Samsung, depending on what the price of the QD OLEDs are going to be, it's going to be Dolby Vision again and the heatsink. So if it's the same price as the Sony, it's going to be a hard sell, just because of Dolby Vision. You're paying more for less is the challenge. But I'm very impressed with it. I cannot wait to see it. It's a phone on my shoulder.
Here's something
Why are you
else.
focusing what's on my shoulder? It's a phone, so I can hear FOMO.
Here's the question: What more can a heatsink do, Brian? That's my question. Because already the specular highlights are brighter than a Sony with a heatsink. What more can a heatsink do on the A95K? That's the question.
Ninjishin just put in here that where did he go? Right here. What's up, Matt? Just a transition, cleaner transition too with detail. I lost his. Here it is. Heatsink helps with image retention and makes the transitions look crisper. So, yeah, I mean, I think with the heatsink though, you also see they'll be able to push the panel harder. Then you got the cognitive processor. Vamps TV, thank you for the super chat. I think you swayed me to the S95B. Sony just feels too many compromises. It reminds me a lot of the Q90B with OLED blacks. Excellent comment, Vamps. Thank you for the super chat. Great comment. Brad, thank you for the super. Can you hear me, FOMO, or no?
I can hear you. Yep. That's why I have you on my ear, buddy.
Okay. Brad, thank you for the super chat. 65-inch QD OLED versus 75-inch QN90B. I'll take this one. I don't care how good the TV looks. It's not going to. 10 inches is 10 inches.
That's right.
If you have room for 75 inches, 60. This thing could be the best looking. It can be the reference monitor from the shootout. That's Sony. If you need a size, if you can fit 75, go 75. I'll say that all day. I mean, the 65-inch, it's just not going to make it. I don't care how beautiful it is. If you have the room. Now, if you're squeezing a 75-inch, Brad, and you're close enough to a 65-inch, then I consider it. But you buy a 65-inch QD OLED, and these things are 75 inches in a few years, you'll be kicking yourself. I'd rather see you enjoy it.
I got a perfect scene for you guys. I think this will be interesting. Okay, so let me rewind this real quick.
Yeah, Beamer, I think on my shoulder it's a phone, but as you're talking, it looks like I have, like I'm a firefighter.
Okay, you guys.
Yeah, if you can do 85-inch, Brad, go 85-inch. I don't know what you're talking about. 75.
TV on the right, there's the Sony A90J. The TV on the left is the S95B. As we walk into the center of that surface, you're going to see a bright light in the middle. The S95B preserves orange. The Sony washes out orange. And this is what I was hoping QD OLED would do, and it did it. So check it out.
BD says, I find it hard to believe that the specular highlights. I don't know why you find it hard to believe. It's a new technology. So it's
Okay,
supposed to be
right
yellow.
here, guys. Okay,
Oh, there it is.
there's
Yep.
more orange, more color in the S95B. The Sony is mostly yellow and white. The S95B has gradients of orange. And let me take.
Yeah, Don, you're gonna get an echo because I'm listening to him through my phone and the microphone. We're doing the best we can, my friend.
Yeah, there's more color volume for sure. So, color volume is when you have those bright highlights. The Sony is washed out, it's more yellow, whereas on the S95B, there's yellow, there's orange, and that's a large circle. So, normally an OLED cannot get that bright in a circle that large, right?
Oh,
And
we
the
lost the camera.
S95B, what?
We lost the camera.
Oh, we lost the camera?
I think we lost it. Did we lose the camera? I can only see.
We did. 1 second. Oh, we did lose the camera. There we go. Something happened. I may have lost my battery.
Isn't it weird, guys, though, to hear us talk about an OLED being washed out? I mean, the A90J is clearly not washed out by itself. It's just,
Oh yeah, I ran out of batteries. So 1 second. I'm gonna switch batteries real quick, guys.
is that better?
I'm pretty excited. I'm honestly very excited about how well the S95B is doing. Mostly because I can only imagine what Sony's gonna do.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Sterling says LG QD OLED next. I know LG has something planned. I don't believe it's a quantum dot OLED though. So I think they'll develop their own panels. What do you think, Foam? You think LG's got something cooking?
LG will not use QD OLED. It cannot. It's invested so much into WOLED, but right here, the Sony represents W. Oh, is the camera back up? Okay, here we go. Good. Actually, let me take it out. Let me get to Sony. So it's confirmed in a movie. You're going to get more color volume from the Sony in the brighter highlights, where it's like that large circle, right?
Sebastian, which is the best TV right now for sports? I still have to go with probably the QN90B LEDs are still best for sports.
So this is a great scene for you guys, just to see the color and the shadow detail. Something like this.
Yeah.
I know, sorry, it's really so, and
Now
the white. Okay,
we're,
so
we're
to me, the colors actually look very similar. But with Sony, because it's on the WOLED, you're always going to push blue. The Samsung doesn't have WOLED, so you're not going to push blue. The Sony does not look that blue, but it is a touch dimmer. And there's, I mean, I don't know how I'm saying this. There's more contrast on the Samsung, which is kind of crazy. I'm going to turn up the exposure a bit because in this scene, I think you can read that.
the TV behind me, Sir Colby, is an 83-inch C1, my friend.
So definitely the Samsung pops more and has better contrast. It's just interesting. It's without using an XR chip, the Samsung looks like it has some kind of XR. So that's very cool.
Well, considering how even keeled you are, you still sound pretty damn excited, my friend.
Dude, I am normally a Sony guy. You guys all know when it comes to film. But Samsung, maybe because they didn't care to do anything with it, it ends up being more more filmic, right? Let me go through some of these. There's some scenes I'm looking for. Again, overall, it looks very similar. Like just looking at this, the colors look very similar.
Oh wow, that's striking. That last scene was pretty legit.
This is striking. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. It's brighter. That sunlight on the ground on the Samsung is brighter, but it's not lifting the shadow. So it's possible, I'm definitely going to have to get this calibrated because it's possible the EOTF curve is off, but it
Well, it's a
appears
Samsung
that the
too, isn't it?
Samsung is just brighter. All the highlights in the Samsung appears brighter. Like, so,
But you feel that it's pretty accurate out of the box, though.
right, but then the shadow, it doesn't feel like it's more lifted, but all the highlights are brighter on the Samsung. So it's very interesting that I don't know. I honestly don't know whether or not it follows the OTF curve on this one at all because it just feels like everything pops, but it doesn't lift the shadow detail as much. So I think the normal consumer is going to love S95B.
Oh my God! Yeah, well, you see in the chat, everybody here that's very knowledgeable seems very. Everybody wants you to put the Sony on vivid.
Oh, wait. Let's put the Sony on brightness preferred. All right.
Yep, I was going to suggest that.
Let's
Let's do
do
that.
that. Let's do that. Because maybe that's what.
Oh, Shango, thank you for the super chat. Holy smokes, Whisper Status. I think you can fit a PlayStation 5 on those shoulders. Yeah, I'm a big boy. Thank
All
you,
right.
Shango, for the super chat. That was very cool.
Okay, so let's try that scene again.
Shango, that was funny. Well, that's a little closer.
It's a little closer, yeah. It is definitely. So maybe the Samsung comes default as brightness preferred, right? And that's what I'm saying is, it may. You know what? Let's go to the very beginning again. Then.
Does it even have that option to go with gradation or brightness preferred on the Samsung?
No. Samsung, they don't do that.
No, they don't. It's going to go full blast.
And this is their first OLED. I don't know what kind of particular settings, but the thing is also that. Okay, so this is a good one. Yeah, the brightness is pretty evenly matched here. I'm looking at the fireplace, and both have pretty good color.
Good question. You see any tone mapping options for the Samsung?
I don't, I could not find it, but then again, I haven't had a chance to explore.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
We can always do vivid versus vivid. See how that looks.
Vivid versus vivid.
Yeah, let's blow the
Sony
eyes
doesn't
out.
do vivid well, right?
It's a lot of aliasing in it. Its standard mode looks nice.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Am I keeping you up, buddy?
Oh, dude, I had 5 hours, baby, last night live.
I know. Yeah, the Samsung has more color right there.
Man, I cannot wait to
Right?
see these.
Yeah, this is. But again, that's the only part. Everything else looks very similar. The rest of the scene looks very similar. It's just that part. Oh, and the Samsung's a little bit brighter in those little light bulbs. So I can see that the Samsung has brightness. It's a touch brighter here versus that, right? These little tiny little highlights. So yeah, the Samsung without a heat sink is matching the Sony, if not exceeding it, in many of these scenes. So I'm very impressed.
It's definitely brighter. I mean, there's no almost in every scene that you've shown, there's been some
Yeah.
brightness.
The specular
Which is
highlights, Samsung's doing very well.
especially in that city scene. That city scene and the Spears and
Oh
Muscles.
yeah. Definitely have to do that one again for sure. This is one here.
Yeah, guys, FOMO's going to cover this separately in a review, and I'm sure he'll do some demo material. Maybe not on a live.
There you go. Okay. You see that orange in that light? This is what I was expecting. There is definitely, can you see the color volume?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to turn down the exposure a little bit more so you guys can see that. Okay. The Samsung had, I didn't know there was that much color here. So you have orange, you have yellow, you have red, and the Sony is limited to just yellow and a little bit of red. The Samsung has it all. This is the color gamut we're talking about right here. There are rings of red around here. The Sony does not have those rings of red. And this is not a calibration thing. This is just the color is there on the
Yeah.
Samsung and not there on the Sony, period. So that impresses me right here. I love to see that. This is it. The color gamut is real, guys.
Let's see. Whisper status. Ask FOMO. Where did that go? You notice the tones in person as much as we're noticing it on camera, FOMO, as far as the different color, temperature. You're noticing just more color all around.
More color when there's red. So there's definitely more reds. Oh, right here. Let's stop right here. Okay, so a reminder, WOLED pushes blue. So you may not see it anyway on YouTube, but right here, he has a bit more flush in his cheek. Both of these men on the Sony is a little bit paler. It could be a calibration issue as well. So it doesn't mean that it would be the same. But I already see right here there's a bit more red gradient that's in the S95B that's not in the Sony. So I'm definitely going to have to look at getting this calibrated. But even the light to there are two lights on the top left hand corner just above Hugh Jackman's eyebrow, right? On the Samsung, you see gradients of red, orange, and yellow. On the Sony, it's clipped. That's because I have it on brightness preferred. Let me put it on gradient preferred, and that should come back. And this is why I don't use brightness preferred.
Yeah.
I want to see all the color. So
Yeah. Well, guys, the Samsung
that's
we haven't gotten into the settings enough to see what the tone mapping options are. We don't believe there's a gradation or a brightness preferred for it.
it's a little bit better, but I've lost it doesn't have the oranges and the reds that the Samsung has. So this is the scene that I love. Is this one right here? So
Look at the wall in the back.
is it close up?
Oh, the skin tone's interesting.
Yeah.
Look at
There's
the
a
shirt.
touch. Again, this is one of those things where does calibration change the skin tone on this later? We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Her skin tones are really good too. So I'd love to see what her skin tones looks like. So we can
Very
compare
impressed
and
though with
see.
it. It's not in retail mode, guys. Once you're in
So
retail
right here,
mode,
they both look identical.
it'll stay in store mode. You'll be able to move the settings. Yeah, but look at the back curtain behind her. All that stuff is
Yeah.
open where it's very dark. It looks like almost a depth of field on the OLED, the A90J versus the Samsung. It looks like the lights are on in the Samsung, doesn't it?
It does.
Also, the Samsung just has a more three-dimensional image.
His eyes, okay, the reflection off his eyes pop more in the Samsung as well.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, so right here. So the Sony is calibrated, and again, WOLED always pushes blue when we record it on video and send it out. So the Samsung will always look a little bit more accurate on YouTube. But I'm seeing it with my own eyes right here, both look identical to me. So I think the Samsung is very close to accurate. It's not like it used to be like 5 years ago when Samsung were just vivid mode all the time, right? So
Yeah. We got Tony.
yeah.
Tony says, where is it? Samsung, what do you say? The hype has fizzled. I don't know how you can say that with the way we're describing it and how you're seeing it. I mean, it's very impressive. You don't have, yeah, not impressed with Samsung. All the hype has fizzled. I don't know how you have your opinion, obviously, but I mean, guy's got to be objective to some degree and just there's a wow factor here that we're seeing from Samsung. You don't have to like the company, but it's undeniable that it's very vibrant. It's an OLED. Remember, it's not an LED. So I don't know how the hype is fizzled. I mean,
Like right here, the skin tones look identical, except and the diamonds look great. So I think in this one, both Sony and Samsung did a great job. The specular highlights. Oh wait, the Sony slowly starting to burn. So I'm seeing the logo dimming as uh, Classy calls it, right? Slowly, was a Samsung's preserving that bright sparkle a little bit longer. But I'm pausing here, right? So normally I do it in slow mo so that it doesn't do that. But yeah,
James, it's not
Samsung.
James. Not that I don't like Samsung. You have to be critical of certain companies. I'm open to them all. So right now, I'll tell you, it's blowing my mind. But with you here, paused FOMO, what's interesting is that if they don't match up because of calibration, but they match up in certain scenes, it's not a calibration thing a lot. It's they do
Right.
what they're doing.
And it's possible that Samsung only runs on what Sony calls brightness preferred, but you're not losing color gradient. That's the thing.
No, it's
Sony, if
impressive.
you go on brightness preferred, you lose color gradient. You don't do it on Samsung
But she looks three-dimensional in that picture right there on the Samsung.
because the Samsung's a touch brighter.
Yeah, but it just doesn't. Yeah, but unlike an LED where we're saying it's a touch brighter, but there's haloing, you don't have it. I mean, it's black as night.
Yeah.
No lifted blacks at all. You're not seeing anything. No lifted blacks. No floating blacks. Nothing.
Nope. Well, right
Okay.
here, the blacks look identical. Oh,
Wow.
let me look at banding. So in this scene where the curtain lifts, there's always banding, and that's the source. The TVs can't
Yeah.
really fix it, but let me see if there's a difference between the two. Right there.
You guys kidding me? Sony sucks today. Oh my god, you guys are funny.
Okay, I'm looking at the shadow detail. They look identical. Uh, there's no floating blacks or anything like that. No crushing. All right. So far, both look pretty good.
Guys, please hit like on the video. What FOMO was doing is not easy right now. Got all these lined up.
And yep. Oh, there's actually more noticeable banding on the Samsung right here. I can see an extra layer of banding in the blue light where the
Hmm.
Sony doesn't have it. So let me just point it out. So, Sony is not all. I mean, this is processing right here.
Yep.
Sony is known for processing. The XR chip did a better job. So I see banding right here.
Hmm.
But the Sony, there isn't an extra layer. It stops right here. Samsung has that same as Sony, and they have one more on the outside. So that is the XR processor doing its job. So
Excellent.
those of you with a Sony A90J or A80J, this is more visible. This is more of a distraction than getting the additional color. So, there is no perfect TV, guys. This is a
No,
very
guys
hard
are
test.
Sony.
So, yeah.
The
And
Samsung key
Sony
was
did
if
very well with this.
you don't want the best. Oh my
So,
god.
so let's just rest here for a second so Sony could enjoy its victory. Because this is what Sony does well, is eliminating
Yeah.
banding. This
I
is
wonder
the
if you'll see
XR
it.
chip
I wonder if you'll see it in motion.
in motion.
If you run that scene, I know you probably can't because of copyright, but if you turn the camera away for a second, run that scene, tell me if you can see that in motion. When it
Okay.
plays, can you see that banding in it when it moves?
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good to know.
I saw it. Yeah. Yeah. But let's rewind it one more time. So
Shamar. I love all my Sony guys. Like, once the A95 comes out, I
here
love
we
you
go.
guys.
And
Shamar, what's up,
yeah,
my friend?
there we go. Yep, there is banding on the Samsung, and I think this is probably the difference. Now, it doesn't mean that Samsung won't fix this in future updates, but they probably won't. I think this is definitely a hardware processor, and Samsung, if you're watching, you know what to do. Get rid of
Yep.
this banding. Sony, the banding is minimized, and this is what I'm going to do with the LG G2 as well, to compare. because this scene is very difficult to render for OLED or LCD because that banding requires very sophisticated processing to get rid of because it's very subtle. So yeah, I think what do we want to? So what other questions do people have? Because I think we have an idea of the strength of the Samsung.
Well, a lot of the
Specular highlights,
yeah,
brightness without a heatsink. It it will destroy any TV without a heatsink. I'll tell you that right now. TVs with a heatsink, it can match it. But you're paying a premium. You're paying the same price as the Sony A90J. Seeing
yeah.
this banding, would I still take the Samsung? Ah, this is so hard. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Brian?
I mean, I'm intrigued. So I think we've been asking for brighter OLEDs that look closer to LEDs, and I feel like I'm looking at a Samsung amazing LED more than I'm looking at an OLED. So
Mhm.
I'm extremely impressed, and I love the A90J. I think the A90J is the best TV out there, but I'm blown away by its color volume and its peak brightness. I think it's beautiful, really, really beautiful. I mean, I'm very impressed with it.
Okay, so let's see how well it upscales 1080p Netflix. I'm going to run Netflix off of the Panasonic. So we know that Panasonic doesn't do 4K Netflix, and we'll go straight to The Witcher. There is a scene in The Witcher. Oh, what? I have to
You got to
re-sign in.
sign in, baby.
Okay, you
That's
know
the
what?
whole purpose.
I'm gonna stick in my stick. So
Nice. There you go.
as you answer questions, ask
I mean, there's
definitely
no
ask
questions. What you
Brian.
have is you have Sony guys yelling at Samsung guys. There's no questions right now at all.
They're just yelling at each
It's
other.
just a bunch of dudes being like, "Yo, thing's good. That thing's trash. Sony's the best. Samsung's out." There's not a single question out here. It's just guys
Oh, I
saying,
love it. I love it.
"It's." I mean, you knew it was going to happen.
You knew it. Get out, get down. All right. Get this.
This is not trash. I'll be looking for trash rooms, A90Js tomorrow. Oh my god, this is going to be funny. Now, are any guys looking in the chat? Anyone looking to buy one of these at launch? Are you waiting for a second gen? Are you looking to purchase one from Samsung or Sony? Let us know what you think in the comments, please. Or are they too small? Do you need a larger panel?
All right. Plug it in the
And this
sound
is
lead.
FOMO's panel.
And
He bought it from Samsung.
yes, I bought it from Samsung. Samsung will not give these to reviewers. They're making reviewers drive to Samsung headquarters, which I think, come on, man, that's a setup. You got to have the TV in your own location. So,
Yeah.
bought it from Samsung.com. I literally got it today, opened it, and here we are.
What price did we go for with it? From what was the actual price?
What was that?
What was the price of the TV?
Oh, 3,000. It's whatever it's on the Samsung website.
Okay, 3,000. Gotcha.
So definitely, even here, these little menus is brighter than the Samsung. And the Sony is on max brightness, in case you're wondering.
Wow. Yeah. Now, if you guys are wondering if this will beat the G2, considering the G2, I think, has caught up to the A90J, it's a pretty good indicator that this would beat the G2 as well.
And just so you guys see, on the Sony, the subtitle is a little bit dimmer, if you notice that.
Yep.
So for those who want dimmer subtitles, Sony does a good job now.
Yeah. And the G2 is excellent, but I mean, this is a whole other technology, though.
All right.
Well, Murder, if you're looking for Sony versus Samsung in gaming, Samsung, it's not close. It would be Samsung. Yeah, Taylor, your G1 is more than fine, my friend.
I'm looking for this one. So, where it has really good shadow detail. Here we go. Here's the-
If you're going between Samsung and LG in gaming, then it goes back to LG. Just because of the pixel response, I'm not sure what the gaming features are on this. If it has all the same gaming features as the LEDs, it should. And then it's a different conversation. Bradley wants to know if you have the chromatic effect around the text on the Samsung phone.
Yes. Oh, wait, here, let's look at it right here. This is text. Do we see the chromatic effect? I'm looking at the subtitle, and it's not obvious. I don't see it on the subtitle.
Okay, so we're not seeing it on.
But skin tone, I've lost skin tone on the Sony. His face on the Samsung is actually gradients of tan. On the Sony, it's just white. So on his left cheek, if you're facing him on the left, it's just very much white. And it's not because it's clipping or anything. This is not a bright scene. I just don't have color on his cheek at all. And
Okay.
I don't believe this is a. Let me turn up the exposure a little bit so you guys can see that.
Am I thinking of picking one of these up? I am not. I'll see the Sony one at launch at Value Electronics, and the Samsung when they get it, but I wouldn't be buying one for myself. They're too small.
Crazy. The Samsung is brighter. That cheek is brighter on the Samsung, and it has more color than on the Sony. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, Jonathan, they should be the same pixel response, but you never know. There could be motion problems.
Okay. So I watch a lot of Netflix. On this scene alone, I would choose the Samsung
Okay.
because I'm getting more skin tones. For me, skin tones are very important. And let me see if there's more close up so you guys can see.
Well, considering you're talking about the Sony strength is movies and streaming, and you're picking the Samsung. That's what you're saying.
Because of the
right?
skin tones, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's big. That's
Yeah.
huge.
That is huge. Now, motion remains to be seen in terms of the stutter effect,
Mm-hmm.
but so far, it's just. But unlike Classy, I'm okay with a touch of soap to get rid of stutter. He's
course.
not. So he may not. The Samsung may. Oh, yeah, there's more skin tone here as well. Yeah,
Wow.
this is. And I don't think it's a calibration thing because everything else looks very similar. Except,
Yeah, they match up, so that takes that argument out the window.
yeah, they match up really well. I have to say, I mean, I may have gotten lucky because I know it's a panel lottery, but for sure, ordering this direct from Samsung, I definitely got a good panel.
Tony,
Without
wait
doubt.
for professional reviews of calibrated sets. This is ridiculous. Tony, relax.
That's a
Relax.
first impression,
I mean,
man.
first
Come on.
impressions, man. Like Jesus, like Samsung versus like. Try to be objective, my friend. I mean, really, this is ridiculous. What's ridiculous? He's got them in front of him. He's got them before any of the reviewers have them. You mean, like, relax.
What we're doing is comparing the really kind of like the specular highlights. That really doesn't matter whether you calibrate or not, because on
Yeah.
specular highlights, it just is what it is. The Sony can only go at so bright, right? So if I run a pattern on the Sony, it can only get so bright. And this has a heatsink. Now remember, the Sony A90J cannot get as bright as the Panasonic with heatsink, and I suspect the G2 will also be brighter. The question is, can an S95B without a heatsink match the G2?
I think it
Yeah.
already. Yeah, I think it can. From what I'm
Yeah.
seeing here, it can.
So, and I was the first to criticize Samsung, by the way. I heard this was very dim and that Samsung Electronics did not accept it because they thought it was too dim. Now I'm
Yeah.
thinking the Samsung Electronics is like, uh-oh, maybe we have to give a reason not to get it. And it's completely yes, because this is not dim at all. Or
Yeah,
between
no.
the first prototype and now, Samsung display group figured out how to fix it, added an extra layer of the blue OLED. But yeah, this is just it's phenomenal.
It's and you talk about like professional reviewers. I mean, there's no professional reviewer on the planet that's going to walk you through it like this. So I mean, give FOMO his love, man. I mean, the guy's spending all this time walking you through the actual panels. You're gonna just read a professional review or watch a quick 7-minute review. My man's doing it right here in front of you. I mean, step by step. Much
And
love, man.
I have to say, most people they're just going to watch movies and content, which is what I do. Right?
Yep.
If you buy a TV based on measured any measurement, you're not going to get that measurement in no content. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That is a huge problem with reviews because if you rely on just measurements, when you put in real content, all TV companies game the system to max out the measurements on patterns. but when you put in real content, it all goes out the door.
Yeah,
So
especially
never
Samsung.
buy a TV based on those alone. It always ends up being subjective image of content. And that's when the quote unquote professionals like, okay, well, you know what? I like this better. And so now
Yeah,
you have to ask yourself, who matches your tendencies? Classy hates soap opera. He would rather err a little bit on stutter, whereas I hate stutter. I'd err a little
yeah,
on soap. So, if you like Cassie's approach, you got to watch his reviews. You like my approach, or you can watch both, but you got to find the reviewer that matches your watching tendency.
exactly. Well, and we've spoken about that. We talk about accuracy and the most calibrated image. The majority of people are going to go, "Wow, I don't love that." So I mean, I'm in the middle. I do like some of the processing. I do like vibrancy, even if it's not 100% natural. To your point, most people walk in the store and that's how they're going to watch their TV. Not necessarily on Vivid, but they will watch it on standard. They will watch it with some motion interpolation. They will use live color on the Sony. So if we're going just by what's the most accurate, I mean, that's just a conversation for a small group.
Yep.
The
I'll tell
majority
you
of people.
right
That's why
now,
Samsung leads the world in TVs for what we're talking
down
about
the,
right now.
if you walk into Costco or Best Buy and both of them are put into their Vivid mode, the Samsung Vivid mode is still going to be incredible because Sony and Vivid will wash out colors.
Yeah.
Because it's so bright, Samsung will not. So you guys have to remember that.
Oh, Tech with KG in the house. What's up, Tech? KG, what's happening, my friend? 100% at FOMO Brian. It's all about preferences. So much people have to take both seriously. And Tech with KG, a lot and I are very similar. We do appreciate the accuracy. We're both gamers. We do like things to be bright, and we do like some of the same stuff. But it's like having this where you get so caught on the slides, you get so caught on the test patterns. My question is, how does it look with a movie on? And then a lot of times, oh, I don't know. I didn't do that. All I did was look at slides. Eventually pop on some content and tell me what you think.
Yep.
We
Well,
saw that with the X92 versus the Q90A. X92 was calibrated, so was the Samsung. Yes, the X92 looked more natural, but which one do you want is really the question. I don't know why you guys are wasting energy fighting in the comments. If someone's trolling, just watch the video. I feel like we're in the outsiders. Nobody gonna rumble without
uh,
me. If
I love
somebody's
it.
trolling, just watch the video. Don't worry about that.
All right, let's see what happens if we put out the brightest content possible, 10,000 nits. Let's see how they tone map 10,000 nits, right? Because Sony really does do well tone mapping. So,
I mean,
we're
Tony,
using
he's not in a
10,000
completely
nit
dark
content.
room. There's ambient light in the room.
There is very little ambient light in the room. Actually, there's none.
So if
It's
you want
just
to
that,
turn,
but
you
the
can watch
TVs are
the
so
light.
bright. Yeah, there's no ambient light in the room, other
Tony
than
wants to see you with the lights on to see if they're lifted blacks.
oh, lights on. They want to try with the lights on.
Yeah, I mean, Tony keeps
You know
repeating that,
what?
so
That's a great idea.
put them on.
Maybe
We'll
take
see
it
what we
to a
got.
darker. Here we go. I have this giant
Searchlight.
bulb. 1 second.
Yeah. Yeah,
Take
Patrick,
this
this is
on.
definitely going to be a TEP therapy thing. I mean, it's amazing watching everybody get triggered. It's incredible. I mean, it's just
And
like,
you
wow.
guys know that I am heavily critical of Samsung. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I,
guys,
I
it's
like
like,
it when I like it, and when I don't, I call Samsung out. So,
yeah. I mean, just seeing you excited, I mean, it blows my
okay,
mind.
so the lights are on. I don't know if you can tell. The lights are on. And
The left TV is the QD OLED. The right TV is the A90J. Master Series.
okay, so the lights are on. I'm gonna turn up the ISO a little bit so you guys. Actually, the let me see
FOMO,
how
isn't
the
the paradox to
anti-glare
be
is.
impressed by TV picture quality through YouTube? Absolutely, Oren. However, that's why it's so important when you're listening to the narrative is what he's saying he sees. So yes, in theory, if you see the TV through your TV should be good. We should still be able to see the differences in the. But that's why the narrative is so important. But you can still see it. I mean, I'm on a Surface Pro and I can see it.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause this scene to see if it's more lifted black. And I have this giant. Oh, just so you guys know what I have. What's when I say I have a giant light, let you guys see what a giant light is. And that's my computer setup over there.
It's
Look at
a
that.
crime scene. There you go.
That is the aperture lantern light. This is a huge ball of light.
Yep.
And I turned up the brightness on it. So let's take it back here. There we go. Okay. So now, let me turn.
The QD OLED is on the left. The A90J is on the right.
I will turn up exposure to +2. So it's going to be, and maybe the Samsung is a touch more lifted than the Sony, a touch. And I'm looking at the exposure of on my camera. Let's use this.
Sebastian, it's just OLEDs push blue on camera. It's got nothing to do with their capabilities. It's just the way.
So I'm going to turn off this light so that the glare doesn't hit you guys. But I turned up the ISO so you guys can see the exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which looks more lifted?
I mean, the Samsung, you lose the detail in the skybox. I mean, it looks like it's almost all one color.
Because it's so bright, that's why.
Yeah, it's so bright. Yeah, but I don't see any like lifted blacks.
Yeah, look at the when I turn up the ISO, look at the darkest areas. Is the Samsung a bit more lifted in the darkest areas?
Not really.
Yeah.
I don't see it looking
ISO,
lifted.
crazy. Right. Maxing out the ISO here. Yeah. Nope.
I don't see the blacks looking from here, but it's hard to tell. Would Dolby Vision matter? It would if the Samsung had Dolby Vision, my friend.
Okay.
Samsung looks terrible.
There we go. Okay, so I've matched the exposure to the Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
The Samsung is slightly brighter of the two. That way you guys can see the differences based on the Samsung's exposure. I could take the... Ooh. Yeah, this one they match perfectly. They're both at the same brightness here.
Yeah, I mean, there's more depth in the Sony as far as it's just darker.
But the Samsung does have brighter specular highlights at the center, right there, the orange center. And there's actually details. So this is, again, I'm going to have to show this. I don't know if you guys can see this. There's actually shades of orange right here and dark streaks here. It's just clipped. The Sony didn't even render that detail at all. That's why I think it has nothing to do with processing. It's just it cannot tone map this bright of a scene very well at all. And let me tell you how bright this scene is real quick. Okay. There we go. Okay. We're at 10,000 nit content. So the Panasonic is sending 10,000 nit content. The TVs have to tone map it down. The Samsung is able to tone map it better than the Sony. The Sony clipped that cloud in the center, the orange cloud. I'm losing a lot of cloud detail. I did not lose any cloud detail on the Samsung. So it's those kind of scenes why I think that Samsung's going to have a huge advantage. And it has nothing to do with calibration at this point. That's just luminance and tone mapping. So the Sony is at its most accurate mode with gradient preferred. That's supposed to solve that, but it doesn't. But like this scene is fine, right? Because there's nothing challenging. They look identical. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference in the scene.
Well, you can see, I mean, you definitely see that still in the background. You can see a little bit more of what the Samsung shows. Shango, thank you for the super chat. talking about having Solus and the fact that the A90J at 83. Where did that go? Hold on 1 second, Shango. I'll find it. There it is. The thing keeping me grounded right now is the lack of an 83-inch QD OLED. Once that comes out, then I'll probably move my A90J to another room. Yes, that should be a lot of the solace for many people is that they're small. But if you have, again, a 65-inch TV, you're totally fine.
And here's a great question for them because I will be in Valley Electronics on Friday. Do they want us to do the same thing all day long with all the different TVs at Valley Electronics, right? Isn't that the plan?
Yeah, in Value Electronics, we're going to have when you come, no doubt, we'll have a G2, C2, the 90H Samsung QN90A will be there. We'll have a Hisense short throw. We may have the X95K, but we'll have definitely the G2 and C2. CJ, thank you for the super chat. Whisper, is that 83 and C1 behind you? If so, would you recommend a family member that games and streams to pay $1,300 more for a G2? I love the C1. I have it behind me. I do think the G2 is a pretty decent upgrade. I wouldn't get rid of a C1 for a G2, but I will tell you that if I had a choice between, I'm upgrading this to a G2. But for most people, I wouldn't upgrade. But if you have a choice to buy one, I'd spend more money for the G2. If you have the money. Thank you for the super chat, CJ. Now, right there, it looks like there's a touch of blooming right there, doesn't it? Even though it's not. It's just the camera.
It's the
Damn,
camera.
my OLED's blooming.
Exposure. There you go.
Jesus, look at that, dude. That is all amazing. Jesus.
Okay.
Sterling, when did the AV community become toxic? My man, it's always been like this.
So what I've done is I've turned the exposure down to the minimum. So when there is a highlight, you're going to notice the difference. That's when the Samsung kind of pops. All right, I'm going to jump on and join you now. I hope that this kind of... So let's wrap up real quick.
Yeah, jump into the jungle of the comments, FOMO. Oh my God.
Okay, so something you guys, so here are my conclusions. Right? So first, the left TV. Oh, no.
You still need me? You're good, right?
Sorry, I gotta face the microphone to me now. I gotta turn up my speaker. 1 second here. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
All right. Okay,
Can you
guys.
hear us?
Yes, I can.
Excellent.
Okay, so a couple of conclusions that have nothing to do with calibration. Let's just get there real quick. The S95B is not calibrated, so we're not going to say, oh, this has color accuracy or white point, blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk purely on specular highlights, luminance, and color volume. I'm going to extrapolate. I think I can extrapolate color volume. Like right here, the color volume on the Samsung S95B, that brightest area in the center of this cactus flower, there is more yellow in there, whereas the Sony, it's just washed out. It doesn't even exist. That's not a calibration thing. It's just not there, right? So there are a few scenes where if it gets too bright, and I've spoken to Classy about this, OLED, after 400 nits, its color volume drops. Every 100 nits above 400, it starts to drop. And then by 900, it's just a white light. By 1,000 nits, for sure, there is no color. Now, the S95B is preserving that color above 400 nits. How much higher, I don't know, but I see it in so many of these scenes. So that's one advantage. The second one is the color gamut is wider. So color volume is one, but there are some scenes where it's not bright. And this is where calibration may make a difference. Maybe if it's calibrated, maybe the color is not supposed to be there. So that's something that I'll reserve judgment until after calibration. But in some of the skin tones, it just feels that it's just a richer color, but we'll see. So we'll have it calibrated and we'll see. But processing, Sony, definitely, you guys saw the banding of the curtain lifting in The Greatest Showman, right? So if you guys are on the stream, you can go back and watch The Greatest Showman. We were on that curtain rising scene. The Sony XR chip definitely was flexing. That's what it does so well. When you have lower bitrate content, this banding is an issue. Sony takes care of it. Samsung is not terrible. It's just who's as good as Sony, right? Yeah. So that's something for you guys to keep in mind. If you guys watch cable, I'd still get the Sony because cable, you're going to have low bit rate, you're going to have banding, you're going to have all this stuff. Get the Sony because that's more distracting than any additional brightness or any additional skin tones or color. If there's banding, to me, that's additive and that's a problem, right? So it doesn't mean that the A90J or the A80J is junk for sure. Like the A80J would not have the same banding. All the XR chip equipped TVs,
Yeah.
they would have done that the same. So it's not like, oh, you need a heat sink to eliminate banding. No, you just need a Sony XR chip, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and we'll compare it to the G2. We're going to have a three-way once we get the G2. Unfortunately, I won't be able to stack a G underneath. I think my mount is limited to two, but I'll have them side by side. I can do a four-way, so I'll have two on the right, two on the left. So we'll have A90J, G2, S95B, and A95K. All four TVs, both generations, and you guys can determine, and they will all be calibrated when we do that. Sammy Prescott is going to come by in May. He's doing his Southern California tour. So he's going to come by, he's going to calibrate all TVs. And since it's the same calibrator doing it, boom, now, and he's very familiar with all these TVs. He will be calibrating them before he even gets to my place. He already has clients lined up to calibrate those very TVs. So when he gets to my and we'll do a live stream with him here. So you guys can ask him, well, hey, Sammy, what do you see, right? So just like we're doing with you, Brian, when Sammy's here calibrating, I'll run an all-day live stream and ask your question. And you could throw out your questions to Sammy, and then he'll do, I did a stimulus and I see, peak specular highlights of this, right?
Yep.
Because it's important that you guys kind of get a little bit of both the measurements, real content, and whatever is important to you. But I have to say, no pink tint. That one has nothing to do with calibration. Pink tint is real. People, early reviews of the G2 with calibrators like AV Forums, they just put out their review yesterday or day before yesterday. Pink tint, first thing. Hey, guys, pink tint, deal with it, accept it, don't accept it. It's normal on this new WBE panel, and the Evo and the EX hasn't gotten rid of it. But the Samsung does not have that color tint. So if it bothers you, I know a couple of calibrators who refuse to buy OLEDs because of the pink tint. Even though they love the blacks, the pink tint bothers them. They're sensitive to pink. They are probably going to get the QD OLED. Whether it's the Sony or the Samsung is a different matter. I don't see the pink tint here, so that's pretty impressive. But we did see the chromatic aberration with the luminance loading where the white square is growing on the edge. You see a touch. It's not terrible, but with the Sony there, I go, oh, okay. Sony doesn't have it. Like this scene right here, on the very top of that bright building in the center, you see the red on the Samsung is just like, wow. And Sony's, the red is there, but I don't think the QN900A is going to be able to do this. Maybe not. I'll have the QN900A in a couple of weeks and we'll see, right? But this is pretty impressive. And it's without a heatsink, guys. I just keep having to remind you. Sony has a heatsink. Samsung doesn't. So it depends what your priorities are. So Brian, what are you thinking?
I mean, I'm extremely impressed. As far as I think, like you, I had heard early thoughts on the Samsung that wouldn't be as bright, that it was going to be kind of a stinker. They were going to just shove out. But knowing this content by heart, as many of us do, I'm very, very impressed with it. But knowing that, again, guys, we're enthusiasts, so the fact that things look massively different to us is still just not night and day. So, if you have an A90J, I don't know why you would be upset. They're absolutely gorgeous. But I do think this looks, and this, Brian, remember the guy you said you hate Samsung? Do not hate Samsung. Bat Tech teasing me. I have no problem being objective. I mean, you put up any TV. If I like it, I have no brand I care about. So, I mean, it is very, very impressive. I would definitely buy one if that was a size that I wanted. But I am curious to see what Sony can do with the heatsink and the cognitive processor and Dolby Vision. So can't wait to see that, especially the Dolby Vision Stacy Spears format. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. I think they do have that. I haven't tested it because literally you guys opened the box with me, or not open the box, but you guys saw me struggle with just the settings. I'm afraid to try picture-in-picture. I think it's supposed to do that, but we'll see. I'll test that for you guys too. So here's the question everyone wanted to ask. What was it? How does the unit? We don't know about QNED yet. We'll see.
What we're
But
hearing from QNET is that it's very similar to last year's, if not the
here
same.
we go. FOMO, can you see the difference in color tone in person? Like I see through the camera. Yes. I didn't know if I was able to capture that for you guys. Definitely there's a color. And this is not because of the blue push. Remember, when you capture WOLED in the camera, you're going to get a blue push. So that's already inaccurate. But the blue push is not what I see in person. There is more, to me, there feels like there is more color gamut in skin tones. The brighter the scene, actually, the more color there is. And that's what we're talking about in color volume. So if you have a bright scene where the sunlight is shining on someone's face, well, you saw it on the Netflix image, right? On the Sony, I lost skin detail. The gradient of his tan skin was no longer there. But on the Samsung, it was still there. That's Netflix. That's not a. Now, maybe Dolby Vision would have fixed it. That's another question. I'll play with that too. But remember, I'm getting straight up HDR10 on the Sony and the Samsung. So many of you might say, wait, maybe it should have Dolby Vision. And maybe Dolby Vision would do that. And it should. Dolby Vision tone mapping is supposed to be better than HDR10 tone mapping. So yeah. But as far as those on the fence about the S95B or the G2, this doesn't answer the question whether the G2 is good. But for those who I still can't recommend the S95B for you guys, only because it's so untested. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts, Brian? I mean,
Spending a lot of hours with the G2 versus the A90J, the G2 to me is bright in all presets, not just one. So that's the difference what I think the LG is pushing this year. And I think that with the G2 isn't going to beat what we're seeing here. I mean, it is noticeably brighter. I'd love to see them together. We will. But this is also a calibrated set as well. So, I mean, I'm it's really the color differences that shock me. I didn't expect it to be that much brighter, but we
right,
all want more color, and
we
that's
do.
what we've wanted from Quantum Dot. We've gotten it, but seeing that with an OLED, and for me, I mean personally, seeing not in this screenshot FOMO, but in the others, I really felt like we were getting the LED of our dreams in some of those cityscape shots. So I
Yes,
feel like
yes.
we're kind of at that spot, where if you can have an OLED look like an LED, then we're loving it, man. That's fantastic.
So, you just bring such a great point. So let's say forget calibration. Many of you just buy this, you bring it home, whether it's a Sony, LG, or Samsung. If you get the Samsung S95B, you bring it home, you'll be like, wow, this is great. I didn't see any aggressive ABL. It maintained its brightness better than the Sony in some of the scenes. I saw the Sony slowly kind of dim a little bit. I know it's not officially called ABL, but you guys know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about, right?
of course.
On the Samsung, it did not dim. There is no heat sink, though. That's what impressed me.
Yeah,
So if this is to be your first OLED and you have 3000 and you're debating between the G2, the A90J, and the Samsung S95B, let's wait a few months to make sure there's
yeah,
no weird issues. But by fall, if all the reviewers are like, I've had this for months, like I'll have this for months and I
yeah.
see no issues, like it doesn't shut down, it doesn't stop turning on, I'd say the S95B is going to be sold out before we even get to Black Friday.
Now,
I don't know
FOMO,
what
quick
else
quick
to
question
say.
for you. When you talk about people buying these panels, since they're in such short supply for Samsung, chances of having a flawed one and getting a replacement are going to be very difficult directly from Samsung. So that might be another apprehension as far as Samsung sold their panels out to Sony and everyone else. It's going to be very hard to say, I mean, if you have an issue directly from Samsung, it's going to be tough getting a replacement.
Here's a great comment. Tony DeLuce, thank you. Wait for the Value Electronics shootout.
Well, Tony's been lovely throughout the comments.
All these TVs will, guys, all these TVs will be there. I'll be there. Brian will be there. And we're going to have at least 2, 3, 4, 5 calibrators. They will make sure everything is an even playing field. All TVs will be at their best. I
Yeah,
will have had enough time with the S95B to make my recommendations so that every TV has a chance to be its best. We'll give it the images where it shines, right? And then the shootouts in July. So you guys have time, right? By
yeah,
Prime Day, you guys
and
have time.
yeah, and but I mean, what's so funny, an even playing field, having them calibrated, put them back to default, and that's an even playing field. Like if you're talking about 90 something percent of the people, I know we are enthusiasts, but 90% of the people are going to just buy these and just enjoy them. So you have to also look at it that way and see what the eye sees versus just numbers and charts. You have to find that middle ground of what, we're not the majority guys. We are the minority.
Yep. This is a great question. I think a lot of people are wondering. APL, average picture levels. The Samsung can maintain brighter APLs on scenes that demand it. With the Sony, if I put it on brightness preferred, it can match some of the specular highlights, but it doesn't last. Sony will still slowly dim it down. The Samsung did not, and without a heatsink, I'm impressed. Now, okay, so this is a great question also. Does this mean the Samsung will last as long? Brian, for all I know, by this time next year, I got burn-in. I mean, it's half-life.
Yeah.
Guys, we don't know what's going to be like 12 months from now, right?
No.
For the next 12 months, this could be an amazing TV. And then in 24 months, I'd be like, why does the Sony look brighter? Brian, does it look brighter? And then we're doing this again. And I'm like,
of course,
dude, this is like a C7.
But it goes back into that early adopter mentality. I mean, we do have they're rushing this out, as we know. It's always, we hate to say it's always great, but look at these shots. I mean, it just leaps off the screen. That's very impressive, accurate or not. I mean, it doesn't just seem brighter because the blacks aren't brighter. So just the image looks three-dimensional, which is what we always say about OLEDs. They look three-dimensional. Yep. So, I mean, I'm very, very impressed with what I see. And again, I know this content by heart. Very impressed
we all
with
do. And John Reformato was here. He was saying, wait until you get to the strawberry scene. Because the strawberry has that brightness gradient, and we'll see. Actually, I didn't even get to the strawberry scene. I skipped it because we went straight to The Greatest Showman. But we'll get there. It's on, I think, half speed. So let's see. Are you gonna? Let's answer some question, guys. Really quick, we had a lot of comments about the AMOLED, which is kind of like the RGB Direct. You cannot make it large enough because two reasons. One, the burn-in is pretty terrible on AMOLED.
Yeah, check your
Samsung
phone.
could not figure it out. That's why they don't do it. They tried and they gave up, and LG figured it out with the WOLED, but Samsung now has figured it out with QD-OLED. So we're back. Yep. This is supposed to be Samsung's response to WOLED, and it's a great one, by the way. I mean, this is the first generation, but we don't know how long it's going to last. So I have to emphasize, how long does this image last, this brightness? What's its half-life? Samsung doesn't know. Literally, this is its first production run. If it only lasts 6 months, we'll be the first to find out, and you, the consumer, will be as well.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Now, if you buy it from Best Buy, obviously, 2-year Geek Squad. So now, hey, look, it's dim. Get a replacement. You're done. I got it straight from Samsung.com.
Look at that. Jesus.
I know, right? Not crazy. But the Sony A90J is proven technology. It's going to last 5 years. I have no qualms about that. I don't know about the Samsung S95B. Maybe they want it to look awesome in the first 12 months, and then bad things happen.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just, I understand you're trying to be gentle, but I mean,
I'm trying to be gentle.
You don't be gentle. You're excited. I think you should be excited. We always want to be sensitive and not hurt anybody's feelings. The A90J is freaking phenomenal, but that should let you also realize, wow, it's pretty cool that the Samsung pops like this. I mean, as much as we love the A90J, it is showing you the contrast between the two, which is, we're not comparing it to an LED or an average TV. It's compared to the best TV out there right now.
This is a great comment. So this actually takes two different angles that we're going to have to explain. JHH asks, can you film the same clips of all of them with the same camera separately and then edit them to be on the screen at the same time? This way the camera doesn't over or underexpose my screen. Okay, so here's the issue. I can perfectly expose all the TVs and put it side by side, but when one TV is brighter than the other, you would have to take my word for it. So then what is that difference? If I say, hey, the Samsung is a bit brighter, what does that mean? So if I expose it to the Samsung, then you can see, relatively speaking, how much dimmer the Sony is in some scenes. So I do this so that you can see the relative brightness when I expose to the brighter one. And then I also hyper expose it at 56,000 ISO. Then you can see the shadow detail next to each other. Because oftentimes, if I edit it separately and put it in, there's always this accusation, you're making the worst TV look perfect in post. which is exactly what I did, right?
Yeah.
I exposed it perfectly because even though it's dimmer, it looks perfect because I've now exposed it perfectly. So this is what all reviewers struggle with. When you
Yeah.
have a side-by-side, do you expose them and
Yeah.
then have them side, or do you do it apart, expose it for the best, and then put it in post, but then they look identical, and now where are you left with, right? So
Yeah.
I only do that when I am commenting on color gamut or anything with color where brightness is not relevant. So I'll do that for that. But when brightness is relevant, you're gonna have to look at the luminance relative to each other in the same exposed camera.
Yes.
But
And
if you
that's
guys
and that's my
disagree, let me know. Yeah.
and that's my argument about splicing them together is then people are changing it in post. And I'm like, now you're altering the image. So it doesn't really it's either way, I'd rather have them together and let the camera run wild than that.
Oh, you know what? The strawberry just came up. Let me bring the strawberry back. I'll be right back.
All right. Uh, let's see. Absolutely, tech with KG. There's no perfect way to do it, my friend. KG, what's happening? No doubt, Bat Tech, no doubt. I mean, I got a lot of these comments when I was showing the G2, and I mean, it was like everybody was just, I don't know. It's just being objective. I don't care if a TCL shows up and beats everything. I'm not going to be like, can't look at that. But you're not going to convince people. And again, just being objective. We're not talking about liking one over the other. Just being objective. That's all. James, when I get the 97-inch G2, I will not be buying that. We will be watching that one at Value Electronics in a few weeks. Yeah, Manuel, you're not going to see a QD OLED at that size for a while. Tony, I'm not the one that needs therapy. Okay, clearly. No one said you needed therapy, Tony. Whisper status, how long do you think before you see 8K at 120? In regards to gaming, these consoles can't do 4K at 60, so quite some time. On PC,
So
relatively
this
soon.
is John Reformato's strawberry scene.
There we
Let
go.
me adjust. Oh, goodness.
You see you guys battle in the comments. It makes you wonder why so many YouTubers actually stop responding to comments.
All right, so yeah, the Samsung looks a touch brighter in the specular highlights, for sure. Yeah, and there is the same amount of color in both, except because the Samsung is so bright, it looks like it's overexposed. But the Samsung and the Sony look identical in every way, except the Samsung's just a touch brighter in that brightest part.
And the blacks don't look lifted, do they? Or do they?
Oh no, they're right next to each other, and they do not look lifted. Yeah, I'm gonna have a hell of a time. Yeah, I'm looking at the black levels. Oh yeah, the black levels are identical on both of them. Yeah, I'm gonna have a tough time with making recommendations this year because I don't know how long. I just don't know what the durability of the QD OLED is. Because remember, Samsung's RGB OLED TV that came out in 2014 was a nightmare of burn-in 6 months later, but it was beautiful the first month. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I I don't know, right? I mean, is it going to happen again? I'm not saying it will, but you guys have to be careful. Definitely get it from a place where it has a strong support. One, let's say.
Yeah. Well, coming from any new technology, man, that's where your Sonys and your LGs are tried and true. Incremental upgrades. You're safe buying an A80K. You're safe buying an A90J. But yeah, if you want to be cutting edge, it's always a risk. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a new Blu-ray player. If it's cutting edge, there's always going to be that risk that it was rushed or it's not made correctly. But basing it on what we see today, I'm blown away by it. So it
Yeah, I
exceeds my
am.
expectations. So
Well, so let's just say this: it's one of those rare times where you go, "Wow,
damn, yeah,
that damn right,"
I'm glad they're not
because
bigger. I'm like, stay small because they would
and
be
you know
so
we
expensive.
haven't tested gaming. There's so much there's so much testing to be done because then you
Yeah,
have gaming HDR. Is there banding? I mean, I know Classy and KG go through this. When you game and now you're adding VRR, all this stuff,
of
does that
course.
make a difference? See, I watch all movies, streaming. I don't test heavy duty gaming. I mean, I'll put a PS5 on, oh, it looks great, and then I move on,
Yeah,
right? I don't have the same level of sophistication when it comes to gaming tastes like KG and his team. So for me, it's definitely HDR content, HDR
yeah.
movies, Netflix. That's what I test a lot.
Well,
I don't know
gaming
that.
too is really
Yeah.
about being able to control the scene. So in gaming, you can basically free flow, the camera wherever you go. I mean, you that's where you see the banding. That's where you can see the hexagon. You can see a lot of that in gaming because you're moving around the camera.
Yeah.
But I would say too, I would think what I'm most impressed is how close it is to the Sony as far as accuracy, considering the Sony's calibrated for a Samsung and the extra color and the peak brightness without the lifted blacks. Other than that little bit of banding you were talking about, I'm extremely impressed with it. Very, very happy with it.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I am too. It's hard for me to say I want to make a recommendation outright only because you have to remember
You'll be
how old
held
was
to
it?
it, by the
6
way.
months? Right. Right. I know, right? It's like,
Like last minute live stream, all of a sudden that's in concrete. But I think
yeah,
your exuberance alone it should make us all excited. I mean, I think it's an exciting time.
it is. It is. It is. I I'm so happy that I was able to share this with you guys. Oh, 1 second. One second. Let me take care of this real quick. Okay. There we go. I have to make adjustments. Okay. Um, so I didn't know what to expect, honestly. Right? So what you guys saw is what I saw for the first time. And I called Brian. I said, "Hey, Brian, you want to check out the TV for the first time with me?" He's like, "Oh, how are we going to do that?" And so
He's
I
like, I got it. I'm like, you what?
two
All right.
I'm gonna connect it to my live stream, and then we will do it together. I'm gonna set it up, firmware updates. I don't know what to expect, and hey, this is what we got, right?
Yeah, no,
So,
I'm grateful. Thank you so much for sharing it with me because
oh, thank you for being here and
I can
handling
actually speak
the
to it now.
madness.
Blown away by it.
BFI. Okay, so here's another thing. I know a lot of you guys are asking, well, what about motion, this and that, dude? That setting, this new setting UI with the Samsung, I'm gonna spend like an hour just looking at the motion. I couldn't even get to the motion setting, by the way. I clicked setting. It's like, wait,
Yeah, it's
where's
probably
the
buried
motion?
advanced.
And it's buried somewhere, right? So I am with everyone who says this new Samsung UI, it's so different than the last few ones. I am not used to it. I apologize. But
No.
I'll get to know it and then boom.
Well, the cool thing is again seeing somebody like you that's as knowledgeable with that go, oh Jesus, that's
Oh,
the
I
real
know.
deal. I mean, that's what we do. You're showing them what actually will happen when they take it out of the box. Even if you're familiar with the Samsung, you're gonna be like, whoa, okay, I'm not doing this fast. So it's very cool. I think that's the way
My
to be organic, my man.
well, my greatest fear is that I can't even turn on the TV. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
you're like, hold on a
no,
second.
there's a chance this will blow up in my face, Brian, if I do this, right?
Yeah,
And
you're like,
it's like, you know
okay.
what? Let's just try it out, right? And you guys saw it. I'm like struggling with the settings. Damn it,
Yeah,
damn it.
that's all good, man. You did a great job, bro. Awesome job. I mean, that's a pretty good time for a live stream to do everything you've done.
And I will take this $5 back tech. I'm gonna buy a beer for Brian when I see him next Friday. So, real quick, what's gonna happen next?
Oh,
Well, what's happening this week? Real quick, I'm gonna fly to New York City on. Oh wait, let's see. It was no. Hey, Bat. I didn't even know how to turn on or off noise reduction. I was happy just to get movie mode, brightness on high, and the gamma was just as is. The settings were mostly default. I just changed it to movie mode, and I set, and the brightness was already on high. I didn't do anything else other than movie mode, and the brightness was already on high. I didn't change anything. So I don't know if noise reduction was enabled. Sharpness was left on 0. So if there's anything with that, normally Samsung did not do a good job with sharpness last year. It was underdone, but this year looked fine. So yeah. But so next week I'll be in New York City covering the auto show. I'll be doing some live streams there, so you guys can see, oh, look at that new car or whatever. But then on Friday we're gonna be doing a live stream just like this at Value Electronics, except next to me will be Brian, and then we'll have the second camera at Value Electronics, and we're gonna do this head to head with the different TVs that are coming, right?
Yep.
The C2, the G2, any Sony that's coming in,
Yeah, hopefully we'll
whatever.
have the X95K at that point. So
Oh,
hopefully,
I hope so. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
So it's gonna be, and we're gonna run that one. We're gonna run all day. I think I want to try to run it for 5 hours or 6.
Yep.
And I was telling Brian, however long you could last, and we'll have Be Nice, Dwayne Davis, the calibrator there, answering questions as well. And Robert will come and go, and we'll be sitting in the middle of his store. So you got
yeah, we'll be there.
Coming and going.
Yeah, you'll see how the operation really runs.
Right. Okay, so let's address this. There is no blooming on OLED. It's because of the exposure. When I set the exposure,
look at behind me.
certain
This is an
brightness-
OLED behind me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's underexposed and then becomes overexposed, and it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So normally image to image, I have to change the exposure, but I'm just letting it run because it's running on a live stream. But yeah, there is no blooming. Okay, let's hit some super chats. Sammy, when can we expect a comprehensive review of the S95B? Unfortunately, I'm going to New York City on Monday, so it won't come until later in the month. But to me, it's not comprehensive without the G2. So I will have a review of it, but it cannot be comprehensive until it's calibrated. That's my opinion. I can tell you my impressions like we have right here, but I won't be able to get it calibrated until May when Sammy comes here, because he'll be calibrating the G2, the A95K, and the S95B. Then we'll have 3 of them calibrated by the same person, and then he'll share with you the numbers as well. So yeah, it's going to be great fun, guys. And let's see some quick questions. What about QNED? We're about 4 years away from QNED, so let's see. This is big, though. The switch to phosphorescent blue. Okay. What's going to happen is suddenly the Sony will be brighter and possibly color volume will be better, but Samsung will also have access to phosphorescent blue. Does that push QD OLED harder, right? We don't know what's going to happen, but for sure, the cheap OLEDs, when I say cheap, we're talking like the inexpensive ones with phosphorescent blue, they will all be brighter across the board. So that's good for everyone, right? And color volume across the board will be better too. And thank you, Tony DeLuce, for that super chat. And yes, I pronounced your name correctly. I assumed that you wanted it to be pronounced like an Italian would pronounce it, right?
DeLuce. Come on.
DeLuce. A95K is coming. I believe the release date is April 14, 15, 16, mid-April. So maybe while I'm at Value Electronics, I'll see the A95K being calibrated. So that's possible.
I'll have news on that Sunday. So with Robert's on, we'll have a video with him delivering some of that news.
Here's a good point. New tech, burn-in is a risk, all that stuff. And Sony has a heatsink on it. So the Sony having a heatsink is definitely smart for Sony. And let's see. We are all excited about the X95K because the Q90B killed it so far. Now the X95K actually has a measure, and it's a few $100s more expensive. That's crazy. That is crazy.
And we're just hoping that backlight master drive is the actual one that we've loved so much.
Top Gunner Boy, the answer is yes, they do. But you got to get the A90K, 42-inch, 48-inch, 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. So if you are willing to go small, yes, Sony does have it on their A90K. Okay, and we're going to wrap up. Thank you. Last call. Well, first, thank you, Brian, Whisper Status, for coming on. It's 8 o'clock here in Los Angeles, but East Coast, it's past 11, past his bedtime.
Well, we did a
And
5-hour live stream last night with all the guys. That
he
was
did a
fun.
5 hour live. He's back again
And
doing,
I'm here.
how long
But
is this? This was
I
like
really
2
appreciate you
hours.
having me on. I mean, it's such a huge treat. And your channel is amazing, and you're always so kind and genuine and helpful. But to have me on to see this thing, because you give me the ability to now speak on it. So very, very happy. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, in response to that, many of you don't know, the first channel to shout me out when I had, what, 4,000 subscribers was Whisper Status 74. I tried to do a visitor review compared to, I think it was like Q90 something.
Yeah.
It was just terrible. It was very cringy. And Whisper Status was like, hey guys, check out this review. I stopped the phone and I was subscribed. He goes, oh, he shouted me out. This is amazing.
And you blew by me.
And from that point, I said to myself, my first guest on a live stream will be Brian, and it was you. You were my first live stream guest.
Yeah,
because
that video did amazing too. I was so happy that that worked out, and we have such a good group of guys all together. So I appreciate it, man. We're all growing together. So and I appreciate all you guys in the chat. Sorry if I wasn't super patient. It was a long night last night.
Yep,
so I really appreciate
and it's very late. And hey, thank you for clicking like, everyone. Thank you, KG, for being on and helping us manage the asylum today. Let me see what's happening. So the TVs I'm getting this year: G2, A95K, X95K, the S95B, this one, the QN900B. 60. Everything I have is 65-inch, and I think that's it. And then I'm gonna go on, KG. The TVs that I don't have, I will defer to people like Brian and KG and Classy, because come on, guys, we cannot buy all the TVs, right? And when this TV gets calibrated, I'm going to then get it over to be the installer, because he wants a chance with it, right? Because once I'm done with it, I don't need it anymore for my channel.
Yeah.
Brandon's going to get a chance with it. It'll be fully calibrated for him so that he can make his comparisons. So yeah, all good stuff, guys. Thank you so much.
Make sure you tune in next Friday.
Oh, wait. What's happening in your channel, Brian, before we go? Thank you.
Well, now I got to do a video on this, but still
finishing
up
therapy video.
Still finishing my G2 gaming. I have C2 versus C1, C2 versus A90J, and then I have the X90K coming from Value Electronics. I'll have the 65-inch. We'll have the X95. We'll have this, and all the stuff at Value Electronics. We'll have all of that in the next few weeks. But I'm almost done with the C2, which I love, and exciting year so far for TVs for all of us.
And before we leave, this is an important question. I'm going to end with this, so you guys know a little bit about quantum dot OLED. The reason why they're using this pentile pixel structure has nothing to do with phosphorescent blue. It is the quantum dot itself. It's leaking blue. So the quantum dot color converting layer, the blue is very powerful, right? And they need to absorb that blue. And one of the ways to avoid having the blue leaking to the red and green pixels is to move them farther apart. And so this pentile structure, if you look at it on the microscope, where a lot of people have been showing it online, you notice that the pixels are a little bit farther apart. However, it's creating the chromatic aberration. The solution isn't phosphorescent blue per se. It's controlling that quantum dot color converting layer. They need to address it at the quantum dot layer level. I'll talk to Nanosys about it to see what they're doing with it, because it's really on Nanosys to help Samsung with this. So that pentile is to control the blue leakage. Phosphorescent blue may not make it better. It may even make it worse if it's too bright. It's controlling that blue. So thank you for that question, but I had to get it out there because I know you guys are wanting a little bit of that geekiness, right?
All right. Good delivery.
Okay, everyone. Good night. Have a great week, and hopefully this will last until the rest of the week. I'll put up a shorter version of this video later this weekend to put out for you guys. But thank you so much, Brian, for coming by and helping with the asylum. And everyone, have a great weekend.
Take care, guys.
Next time. Oh, and stop the FOMO. The Sony A90J is not terrible. It's just this S95B was pretty impressive.